Ramanuja Dayapatram Jnanavairagya Bhushanam Srimadvenkatanathaaryam Mande Vedanta Deshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathaya Munamadhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Mande Guruparamparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yugmarukma Vyamohata Staditarani Trinayamene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhutis Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayanam Adyasyanah Kulapater Vakulabhiramam Srimat Tadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhana Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanata Sri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogivahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Mata Devi Tvamasi Bhagavan Vasudevah Pita Me Jata Soham Janani Yuvayore Kalaksham Dayayaha Dhate Yushmat Parijanataya Deshikairapyataswam Kimte Bhuyaha Priyamiti Kila Smeravatra Vibhasi Ichhamina Vihara Kachapa Mahapotri Nyadrichahare Raksha Vamana Rosha Rama Karunaka Kudstha Hela Halin Krida Vallava Kalkavahana Dasha Kalkinnitif Pratyaham. Namaskarams to all the Astikas of this beautiful city of Sydney. At the Upodghatam, I'm extremely indebted to the organizers, the Sydney Andal group, all the Bhagavatottamas who together make this organization for organizing the lecture today and tomorrow. The venue is the same. The lectures are going to be in English. The topic chosen for today is Dashavatharam and the learnings from Dashavatharam. And the topic chosen for tomorrow is Bhishma Stuti, which is an ode to Paramatma who came down as Sri Krishna by none other than Bhishmacharya. Both these lectures are in English, same venue, and the organizers have had a Himalayan task because these were organized on weekdays. So generally organizers prefer weekends. So the presence of so many Astikas on a weekday evening sums up that you with your willpower can make a weekday strong. So that said, they would have mentioned about the housekeeping rules. Maybe are the exit? No, none of the exits are blocked, right? So we can have a few more people here. Unnu vanna maate mango. Bayandru pora. So the topic chosen is Dashavatharam. And alongside the tagline that has been given is the learnings, the teachings of Dashavatharam that is relevant to us today. Avataram in Sanskritam means the process of descending. When you come from the top to the bottom, it is called Avatarati. Iti Avataraha. The process of descending. In fact, when you preferably go to a house and as you enter the house, the son of that owner in the house jumps from the top of the door down. If he is adept in basic Sanskritam, he will say, "This is my avataram." When the boy jumps from the top of the door down, he is essentially trying to be as etymologically correct as possible. So Avatara Shabdam talks about the Lord descending, Paramatma descending. Parashurama Maharishi in Sri Vishnu Puranam states, Nityaivesha Jaganmata Vishnu Shri Ranapayini Devatve Devadeheyam Manushyatve cha Manushi Raghavatve abhavat Sita Rukmani Krishna Janmani. When the Lord chooses to be born on this very earth, she too accompanies him. Raghavatve abhavat Sita. When he is born as Raghava, Ramachandra, she becomes Sita. Rukmani Krishna Janmani. When he is born as Krishna, she is Rukmani. When he is Deva, she is Devi. When he is Ishvara, she is Ishvari. When he is Bhagavan, she is Bhagavati. So there is always this process of the Divya Dampati taking the avataram. It is just not the male energy that comes. It is also Sri Mahalakshmi who descends. That said, we have Aneka Avataram. All our acharyas state that Asankheya Avataram. There are innumerable avataras that the Paramatma has taken. That said, we will have a few follow-up questions to ask. If there are innumerable avatars, why should we have the term Dashavatharam? We can still call it innumerable. Let's go to maths. When sin x by x, limit x tends to 0, is sin 0 by 0, 0 by 0, it is indeterminate. Though you have infinite, the value which is indeterminate in maths, there is a rule called L'Hopital which you use to differentiate the numerator and denominator called cos x by 1, which is cos 0 equal to 1. So you essentially believe in an indeterminate number, but you still give names to the numbers. Though there are innumerable avatars, you still have top 10 avatars. You know, there used to be a great Bhagavatottama Stri called Pepsi Uma. So she used to give top 10 songs. iTunes also gives top 10 songs. When it says top 10 songs, it doesn't mean there are only 10 songs in the world. But these are the chosen 10. Because it is the chosen 10, the follow-up question is, you may have certain variations in the Dashavatharam. Some people count Buddha as an avatara. Some people say Krishna is not an avatara. Krishna incarnated as the Dashavataram. For example, Jayadeva in Ashtapadi, when he begins Ashtapadi, he says, Pralaya payodhi jale Keshava. Pralaya payodhi jale Keshava. Kaha iti brahmano nama ishoham sarvadehinam keshihantara Keshava. Krishna has taken the avataram of the 10, he says. So Krishna is not counted in the 10 as per Jayadeva. Let us take in Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam, we have had a great Acharya Varya called Annamaya. Telugu varu unnara ikkada? Annamaya. So Annamaya, when he describes the beautiful abode of Lord Venkateshwara, he says, Meena Kurma Varaha Mrigapati Avatara. He goes on. Daruna Buddha Kaliki Dashavidha Avatara. Daruna Buddha. Buddha comes. The great Satsishya to Bhagavad Ramanuja, who was incidentally the son of Kuresha, called Parashurama Bhatta, in his famed commentary called Bhagavad Guna Darpanam to Vishnu Sahasranamam, says that there are close to 10 namas that describe the Lord's avatara of Buddha. Vasajanaha, Shringi, Ratnanabaha, Sulochanaha, Arkaha, Vasajanaha, Shringi, Jayantaha, Sarvavijjayi, Suvarnabinduhu, Akshobhyaha, Sarvavagishwareshwaraha. These are the namas that describe Buddha, says Parashurama Bhatta. So Buddha is also regarded as an avatara. Let us go to one of the primary acharyas of Jaina Matam, Jaina. In the list of 24 Tirthankaras, the first Tirthankara was called Rishabhanatha. If you go to the famed temples of Dilwara in Mount Abu in Puranas is called Bhrugutunga, because descendants of Bhrugu used to live in that hill of the Aravalis in Rajasthan. It is called Mount Abu today. There you have Dilwara temples constructed in pure white marble between the 11th and the 14th centuries. In that you have a central temple for the first Tirthankara called Rishabhanatha. If you zoom Rishabhanatha and see, you will have the mole called Srivatsam, which denotes he is an avatar of Narayana. So Rishabhanatha, as per Srimad Bhagavatam, is treated as an Aveshya avatar of Narayana. Buddha by many acharyas is treated as an avatar of Narayana. So the number of avatars is innumerable. But understanding our own limitations of grasping, retaining knowledge, most of our acharyas have shortlisted certain avatars and said, if you can't remember them, at least remember these. So 10 is not the end, it is the beginning. Second question, before I get into the avatars, another follow-up question. Why, sir, all avatars are born only in India? Your children, grandchildren ask this question. If they don't ask, I'll help. Why they have to be born only in India? Why Arya Gowda road only? Malleshwaram alli Kannadadavaru idara illi? Yen sir avaru Malleshwaram Vidyarthi Bhavan kadene avaru janana madbeka? Any Mumbaikars? Wow. So why should he be born only near Kochu Guruvayurappan temple in Matunga? Endana karanam? Avatars are plenty in number, and Paramatma doesn't have Vaishamyam and Nairgranyam. Remember these two words. Shastram clearly states in Brahma Sutra, Vaishamyam, Nairgranyam, no favoritism or partiality. We adorn our foreheads with Vibhuti or with Sri Churnam or with Chandanam, or we come in a traditional attire to follow our civilization. Just because we are doing this, we may not get brownie points from Paramatma. We are doing it for the sake of our acharyas, for our tradition. The Lord treats a John in Scotland, a Hussein in Arabia, a Sheshachari in Maradpalli, Secunderabad, and another person in Australia with equal eyes. Samoham sarvabhuteshu, says Paramatma. There is no disparity. But why should we say that avatars that we know are largely in the Indian subcontinent? Because to decide that this is an avatara, the person who says or predicts needs wisdom. To say that there is 20.0% oxygen dissolved in this air, I should have a basic element of science in me. To say that an indicator is put in titration so that I get the end point, I should have basic knowledge of titration and chemistry. To decide what are lanthanides and actinides in a Mendeleev's periodic table, I should have a basic understanding of elements. To decide a Carnot engine's 4-step process, I should have a basic understanding of momentum, energy, velocity, and so on. To decide what is an indefinite article and definite article in the great grammar bestowed by two Prathamacharyas, Rennacharya and Martinacharya, I must have some basic knowledge of the language that we have bequeathed from the great Rani in Bharatadesham. So for any subject, there should be some expertise in that subject. That is why we call subject matter experts. So the subject matter is Paramatma descending as an avatara. The experts were incidentally born in the Indian subcontinent, which are the Alvars and the Acharyas. So Vasishtha will say, Kaushalya, this boy of yours is not a simple man. He is a complete man. Raymond. Adane, Purushottama. Aham vedmi mahatmanam ramam satya parakramam kakapaksha dharam veeram jyeshtham me datumarhasi. This son of yours, the eldest son of yours, is a repository of all auspicious attributes. Balan yendri en ilam shingattai igalel kandai, says Yashoda. So the avatars were spread throughout the world. But the people who could decipher and correlate that this is an avatara were largely found in the Indian subcontinent. That is why the resultant is, most of the avatars we know are from Indian subcontinent. The Lord will be born even now somewhere in Iceland. But we don't have a Vasishtha or Parashara to tell us that this is an avatara. That is why Shastram says, do not disrespect any individual, because that person could be a blessed avatar of the Lord. So in this list of avatars, the topic is, but I am thankful that the topic is Dashavatharam. If I have to stick to Asankhyeya Avataram, when will I complete? So it is Dashavatharam. But do not confuse the topic with somebody else who may give cryptic statements from Chennai's Eldams Road. எங்க ஆழ்வார்பெட்ட ஆண்டவர் ஏதாச்சும் பேசிட்டு இருப்பார். அவர் ஒரு தசாவதாரம். So, this Dashavatharam is as told by our Purvacharyas. Purvacharya Surakshitam Bahumatim Vyaghata Durasthitam Anitam Tu Nijaksharaihi Sumanasaha Bhaumaf Pibantvanvaham, says Acharya. That said, in Dashavatharam, I am going in that order. Remember again, Avataras in Dashavatharam does not correlate to the chronology of the Avatarams. Matsya Avataram need not have happened first. Kurma Avataram not later. There will always be a jumble. But this is the way it has been given. Before I again get into Matsya Avataram, another information we are often told, sir, this is akin to Darwin's theory. Have you heard that? First is aquatic. Then there will be this amphibian, then a tortoise. Then that lives in marshes, which is the boar. Then which is completely terrestrial, which is lion. Then the shortest of the men, hobbit, children, yeah. So there were short people called Valakilyas who lived in the Flores Island that is found in the archipelago nation. When you go in the map from the west, from Java, because Java finds mention in Ramayanam. In Ramayanam, when Sugriva dispatches the Vanaras in different directions, he dispatches a team going eastwards. He tells in Kishkindha Kandam, O you Vanaras, go in search of this Sita who is the beloved of Rama in a dweepam, in an island, Yavadvipe Sati. Yavadvipe, the island's name is Yava. In Sanskritam, in usage Sanskritam, Ya and Ya and Ja are replaceable. For example, largely people who adhere to the Puranas, we say Yamuna. But if you go to the colloquial language, it is Jamuna. Jamuna kinare nyare. So it's Jamuna. That is why when Paramacharya, the sage of Kanchi, lived and he had a Veda Sadas, he said that everything gets correlated in the recitation of the Vedas between the practitioners in the south and in the north. Except in a few places where Vedam says Yasmai, they will say Jasmai. So Ya and Ja are replaceable. So when Sugriva says Vanaras go in search of Sita in Yavadvipam, replace Ya with Ja, you get Javadvipam, Java. Then he also says, go till an island where the sun rises and Mandehas are driven to another Dvipa that is believed to be Fiji. And between that is a place where he says that short people whose pituitary gland malfunctions, which is they have not grown, they are dwarfs. They are called Valakilyas. Jvalad Valakilya Pratignavatirna Sthiram Tattva Buddhim Param Bhakti Denum Jaganmoola Kande Mukunde Mahananda Dogdhi Mahina Mahina Mahinantaka, says Vedanta Deshika. So Valakilyas, this is the Flores Island. The point is, when we have such geography that is widespread, we have Vamana who is mentioned as a dwarf. Then Vamana, the little primitive mortal individual, grew into the very tyrant Parashurama. Then he became civilized and seasoned as Rama. Then he became as the one who becomes very realistic as Krishna. And he will come as Kalki. This is one theory given. This theory will not hold water. Because first of all, it didn't happen in this order. For Darwin's theory, you cannot change the order. It didn't happen in this order. So my humble request is, it is our attempt to say that science and Sanatana Dharma, which is religion, actually say they go very well with each other. Fine. Our attempts should be there. But in certain places, they naturally come together, science and religion. In certain places, they don't. You should not coax religion into science and say, this is how it happened. In certain places, if there is a mutual exclusivity, like how we discuss in set theory, there is an A intersection B, appreciated. But if there is an A complement, appreciate that as well. So there is no need to forcefully induce Darwin's theory into Dashavatharam. Because tomorrow if some Brihaspati comes and proves that the Darwin's theory is wrong, Along with the fall of Darwin's theory, even your Dashavatharam will go away. So keep the Avataras separately. That said, when did Matsya Avataram happen? And what is the teaching for us? In Matsya Avataram, we have two different occasions as per Shastram. One, when Brahma lost the very opportunity to retain knowledge. See, as a civilization, from time immemorial, we have believed in two skills, Shruti and Smriti. Listen and remember. Shruti, Smriti. So we didn't have this habit of documenting on manuscripts. At a very later stage only, we had this documentation procedure. So traditionally, if you sit in the presence of your Acharya will go on and on and on in delineating and elucidating the quintessence of the scriptures that you have come to listen to. But comes another pertinent question, when should the Acharya stop? Today they have told me 8:30 you have to stop. They are very clear. The organizers told me, 8:30 மணிக்கு மேலே ஒரு வார்த்தை பேசுங்க தெரியும் செய்தின்னு இருக்கா பயந்துட்டேன் நான். So 8:30 I have to stop. But traditionally in an Kalakshepa Parampara, where you listen from an Acharya, he'll go on and on. But Shastram says the teacher has to stop when the student yawns. There is a vidhi in Shastram. Because in science we say there is scarcity of oxygen, that is why the person yawns. But Shastram says when you yawn, whatever you have listened till then will slowly dissipate from your memory. So, Brahma yawned. When he yawned, it is said that the essence of knowledge that he had bequeathed went away. It was volatile. So to preach Brahma and retrieve the lost wealth, the Lord is said to have come as a fish, as a Matsya. Interestingly, Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada in his commentary to Vishnu Sahasranamam says, the fish was a unicorn fish. It came with one horn. Eka Shringi, says Adi Shankara. We have this Arko Vasajanaha Shringi. For the word Shringi, Nama Shringi, Adi Shankara says the one who incarnated as a handsome fish. Adu oru vaartha podra, fish la kuda handsome. Handsome fish with a beautiful horn, a unicorn fish. So there is a binomial nomenclature, fish with the word Nomura, that has a unicorn. So this fish was the one that retrieved the lost wealth to Brahma. Alongside, there is another charitram mentioned in Bhagavatam that there was a king in the Dramida Desha, which is the Pandya Desha. What was the capital of the Pandyas? Enna sir, idu kuda theriyada irkingale sir. Madurayil paranda meen kodiyai un kangalil kandene. Didn't he write the work? But the beauty is, during 5000 BCE time period, Madurai was not the capital. It was called Kavatam. In Purananur also there is a mention of Kapatapuri. In Kishkindha Kandam there is a mention of Kavatam. And before Kavatam the place was called Alavai. Alavai is that city which is protected by the snakes. Uraga Nagarasya, says Kalidasa in Raghuvamsham. So then after every Sangam stage, the final capital was Madura. Madura Nagaram, which is called Madurai today, where you get Jigardanda. Madurai. So in Kavatapuri was that place, and there was a king called Satyavrata Maharaja. He was doing Argyam. While he provided Argyam in the river called Kritamala. Kritamala is Vaigai. He saw that there was a little fish that was found between the poundful of water that he had taken between cusp in his palms. So he did not want to kill the fish, and he took that and put that within a vessel. It grew. Then he took the fish from that vessel and then put it into a bigger barrel. It grew further. Then he put that back to the river. Dasa says this, Kereye neerannu kerege challi varava padedavarante kaaniro hariya karuna tolada bhagyava hari samarpane Madi Badukiro. This is an intermediate stage in Shastriya Sangeetam. From this, the teacher will decide whether you are fit to learn music or not. So, this fish told that there will be a part dissolution or destruction to the city. So, some parts in and around Tamraparani were submerged. That is when the Lord is said to have told the king in Yogic vision that you have to take specimens of every species, put them onto a boat, and that boat should have a rope, and the rope should be attached to the horn of me coming as a Ekashringi, and you should move to another place for sustenance. So, this is called Matsya Avataram. Pralaya Payodhi Jale Keshava. Vedanta Deshika comes up with another beautiful description. As a poet, that the lion among poets he was, he says, Nirmagna Shruti Jala Margana Dasha. What he says is, when the wealth was lost, the Lord could have incarnated even as prawn. Fish. Why did he choose the fish? To which he says, every time the Lord is reclining on his serpent couch, Adisesha, he keeps looking at Mahalakshmi. He is so inspired of her looks because Mahalakshmi's glances will ensure only prosperity. Yasyam yasyam dishi viharate devi drishtistvadiya tasyam tasyam ahamahamikam dhanvatehe sampadogaha. If she looks at someone, all the stock value will go high. So Mahalakshmi's eye glances spread and give only mercy. So the Lord used to keep looking at her. When he used to look at her eyes, he sensed that her eyes were like the fish. Her eyes were like the fish. The Parvati Devi whom we revere in Madurai, she is called Meenakshi. Madura Puri Nilaye Mani Valaye Malaya Dhwaja Pandya Raja Tanaye Vidhu Vidambana Vadane Vimale Veena Vadana Dashagamaka Kriye Madhumuda Modita Hridaye Sadaye Mahadeva Sundaresha Priye Madhuru Murari Pusodari Shatodari Vidhi Guru Guhava Shankari Shankari Mi Nakshi. In Lalita Sahasranamam, you get the Nama Kadamba Vanavasini, Meenalochana. So the mother fish has one great attribute. She can nourish her little children just by looking at them. குழந்தைலாம் பசிக்கிறதுன்னு சொல்லுது பாருடா என்ன வயிறு ரொம்பிடும். இந்த யோகாம்பாள் சுந்தர பார்க்கறது, ஹெப்பார் கிச்சனை பார்க்கறது, ஹேமா சுப்பிரமணியம், எங்கள் ஊரில் ஒருத்தர் நெய்லியே தெளிக பண்ணுவார், வெங்கடேஷ் பட்டுன்னு பேர். இவன் மேலே கொஞ்சம் தூக்கி போடுங்க, எண்ணெயை போடுங்க, நெய்யை போடுங்க, இதை பார்த்தா என்ன கிடைக்கும்? வைகுண்டம். வைகுண்டம் புகுவது மன்னவர் விதியே. So we look at all these. Why? There used to, first the Prathamacharya of all these cooks was a lady called Mallika Badrinath. ஞாபகம் இருக்கா மாமி? எல்லாம் எனக்கு தலையாட்டுறா. So she started, now they will all say பிள்ளைங்க ஸ்கூல்லேன்னு வந்தால் இதை பண்ணி போடுங்க. But mother fish doesn't have to do that. She just has to look at the children. They'll ஏப்பம் விட்டுரும் எல்லாம். So fish, Matsya, indicates that the Lord's eye glances alone will suffice for our nourishment. That is why that learning from this avatara is when you serve food to the Lord in your very own house, in Tamil there is a word, Kandaruludal. The Lord blesses by just looking at your prasadam. He will not eat. If he eats, we will not keep. அது ஒன்று சாப்பிட்டுடுறாரு நான் இவர் சாப்பிட மாட்டாருங்கிற நம்பிக்கையில் தானே வைக்கிறோம். சாப்பிட்டு தொலைகிறது இது. ஸோ we place it to receive his grace. பார்வை ஒன்றே போதுமே. So the Lord was inspired of Mahalakshmi's grace-filled and benign blessings-filled eyes that were akin to that of a fish, a healthy fish. He kept looking at her. He was inspired of the eyes. Now he had to incarnate to ensure that the Vedas are restored. He kept looking at her eyes, which were like the fish. So he became the fish, says Vedanta Deshika. Nirmagna Shrutijala Marganadasha. So he was born as the fish. So Matsya Avatara. Next comes Kurma. Why did the Lord take the avatar of Kurma? We have a description mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Vishnu Puranam, and we also have a mention of Kurma Avataram in Balakandam of Srimad Ramayanam and the Adi Parva of Mahabharatam. So this Kurma Avataram finds presence in Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puranam. And its depiction in iconography and sculpture spread as far as the Kambuja Desham, Cambodia. When you go to the 13th century temple called Parama Vishnu Loka or Angkor Wat as it is called today, as per the inscription it is not called Angkor Wat, it is called Parama Vishnu Loka. If you go to the temple on the eastern wall, 216 feet in length, you have a panel of Kurma Avataram. So some research scholars today say that people in Kambuja Desham were inspired of Kurma Avataram because there is a city called Siam Reap, alongside which there is a river called Siam Reap that goes near a place called Kabal Speen. When the river flows from its source and then to its destination, at a certain point it re-meanders itself and churns within a lake. This churning process brought memories of Kurma Avataram to the local people and they induced Kurma Avataram in the architecture. That said, it is said that the Devas, the Suras, they lost immense wealth because of a shapam of Durvasa. Durvasa Mahamuni was a Kopishta. Vasa is residing. Durvasa, you can never stay with him. Mama varliya, and Durvasa edukku vara porar. So, Durvasa gave a shapam that whatever prosperity that you have bequeathed Indra, that shall be lost. It will go like a worthless bauble, he said. And as a result of the curse, by Durvasa, in Kurma Avataram, he lost there was a stone called Chintamani, Kripe, Krita Jagadvide, Kripanajantu, Chintamane, Rama Sahacharam Tada, Ragudurinya, Yantyattvaya, Vyabhajjata Saritpatihi, Sakrita Vekshanat, Takshanat, Prakrishta Bahupataka, Prashama Hetuna, Setuna, says Vedanta Deshika. A wish-yielding gem was called Chintamani. The Chintamani that was found in the outside quarters of Indra lost its sheen. The wish-yielding cow called as Nandini, Kamadhenu, in Bangalore that's our milk. So that Nandini Kamadhenu lost her ability to lactate. So when every sign of prosperity withered away, went away, that is when Indra wanted to seek the Lord's intervention and he said you need to have a coalition with Asuras. So he said in your vulnerable times you may need to make coalition with unequal partners. That is when Indra said, what should I do? Ahihi mushikavat nyayena. Like the mice that is trapped in a net and requests a snake to rescue itself, you have to make a pact. So the Asuras and Devas, they are said to have done something beyond our imagination. They are said to have brought a mountain called Mandara Parvatam and used the snake called as Vasuki as a churning rope and churned the waters. The beauty is we always have a tug of war between languages in Bharata Desham. Which is older, Sanskritam or Tamil? Nangal Tamilaithan Kuruvom. Abdin Jolda Valka Lavara. Another Tamil Valga is a Lava Urunga Julungas and Apra Tamilaka Patala. Kate Kulungal Kolono. Lava. Okay, leave that. Because we can get such people. 200 rupees, one biryani packet you will get. And there is one specific place for that called Valluvar Kottam in Chennai. Pama Valluvar Thalladuthu avaru idhe dhaan. So now, in the ancient Tamil literature, there was a work called Silappadigaram, the story of the anklet, by a Jina poet called as Ilanko. This Ilanko states the very process of Kurma Avataram. Vadavarayai mattaki vasukiyai nanaki kadalvannan pandoru naal. So the churning happened. And as the churning happened, in Kurma Avataram, you had halahalam visham emerge. When there is a byproduct that we don't desire, nobody wish to take. That is when Ashutoshi, Paramashiva said, I will consume. Drape andhasaspate daridran neela lohita. So he consumed. That is when Parvati said, Ungalukku edukku enna idella? Vera yaro pannitu pora. So she came and held the neck. Is what? The local legend says. Adi Shankara acknowledges this. Karalam yakshvelam kabalitavataka kalanana shambhos tanmulam tavajanani tatanka mahima. So his neck became blue. He became Neelakantha. Then there came the other products like Chintamani, Kamadhenu, Uchchaishravas and so on. And to support the hill from not drowning any further, the Lord came as tortoise. But Vedanta Deshika says the learning from tortoise is Vihara Kachapa. What is the learning from tortoise? Kurma Avatara, Vihara. Be playful. What is the lesson for us, sir? You should take life not too seriously. Some people are like that. நேத்து வரைக்கும் நன்னா இருந்துச்சு உபன்யாசத்துக்கு வந்துட்டேன் பாருங்க. கவலைப்படாதீங்க, நாளிலேருந்து இருக்காது. 2 நாள் தான், கஷ்டமும் வந்துட்டு போயிடும். 2 நாள்ல வந்துட்டு போயிடும். Should always be jolly. When I used to start giving lectures in 2011, people were not very accepting of my style. இவர் எதுக்கு ஜோக் அடிக்கிறார், இவர் எதுக்கு பேசுகிறார், சீரியஸாக பேசணும், சீரியஸாக இருக்குது. ரொம்ப உபன்யாசத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கோமா, ஒருத்தரோட ஆற்றுல 10வது சுபஸ்வீகாரத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கோமான்னு தெரியக்கூடாது. துக்கமாக எல்லாரும் அப்படியே ஒரே சீரியஸாக உக்காந்துட்டு போகும்போது விசாரிச்சுட்டு போய் ஆற்றுல குளிச்சுட வேண்டியது தான். A lecture, see, Sanatana Dharma is a very, very colorful civilization. It has music, it has dance, it has architecture, it has hasyam, it has natyam. A lecture should bring various aspects and facets of the society together. சீரியஸாக சொல்லணும், புக்கில் இருக்கிறதையே சொல்லணும்பா, அதுக்கு புக்கே கொடுத்துட்டு போயிடலாமே, நீங்கள் போய் புக்கில் படிங்க சார் ஆற்றுல. So, Vihara Kachapa, the Lord shows that life should be very entertaining and playful. We should make it. How did he make it playful as Kurma? Comes the question. Vedanta Deshika says, Avyasurbhuvanatrayi manibhritam kanduya nairandrina nidranasya parasya kurma vapushaha nishvasa vatormayaha. He says that the Lord wanted to get his back scratched. ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ತಮಿಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಕನ್ನಡದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತಾ? తెలుగు వారికి అర్థం అవుతుందా? అరవంతో చెప్తున్నారంటే నేనేం చేస్తాను? అరవాడు. ఎనీ నాన్ తమిళ్, తెలుగు, కన్నడ, మలయాళం స్పీకింగ్ ఆస్తికాస్ హియర్, హిందీ, మరాఠీ, గుజరాతీ. హిందీ ఐ కెన్ మేనేజ్, గుజరాతీ ఐ ఓన్లీ కేమ్చో, అவ்வளோதான். Next year when I come, I will learn Gujarati, don't worry. Now, there is an aspect of scratching your back. Many people love to do that as just a pastime. The Lord wanted to get his back scratched, it seems, says the poet. It was too much to ask Mahalakshmi to do that also. காலமுக்கிறதே பெரிய விஷயம், இல்லை வேறு முதுக சோரி வாயா நீங்கள். So, the Lord thought it is better I engage some automatic machine. So his back became the tortoise's back. And the Mandara Parvatam was kept over it. So as there was a rhythmic movement between the Devas and the Asuras, it fell to the Lord as if his back was being scratched. And when you do it in a less violent and a rhythmic fashion, you will be put to sleep. As the tortoise slept, he snored, and as he snored, the waters turned into waves, says Vedanta Deshika. This is poetic beauty. Avyasurbhuvanatrayi manibhritam kanduyanairandrina nidranasya parasya kurma vapushaha nishvasavatormayaha. So Kurma Avataram gives a message to take life in a very entertaining fashion. Ichamina, Vihara Kachapa. Third comes Varaha Avatara. This Varaha Avataram is actually a bit tough to be explained scientifically or logically to both us and to our children. What is the premise for this? We have Hiranyaksha, who is an integral part to this narration. But Varaha Avataram is said to have occurred in 2 occasions. Vedam says, Uddhritasi Varahena Krishnena Shatabahuna. Vedam says in Prachina Kalam, the Lord incarnated as a wild boar. This has no relationship with Hiranyaksha, the Asura. He incarnated. Why? See, even as per the evidences that we have managed to gather from our historical and archaeological and scientific sources, there was this Ice Age period between 12,000 BCE and 10,000 BCE. In Ice Age, the temperature goes severely down across all regions and you have only ice. Later, when the sun's rays manage to reach the outer layer of earth and the ice starts melting, suddenly there is a rise in the level of the waters. When water level rises, many land portions get submerged. That is when it is said Bhumi gets submerged. When a part of land gets submerged, we say Bhumi gets submerged. Remember, we are a very poetic civilization. So the art of deciphering poetry is to strip off its similes and metaphors. When we say that the earth got submerged and water level rose, that is when Shastram says from the inner crust mantle, the Lord appeared as Adisesha and lifted Mother Earth, which is the submerged part of the earth, upwards. He was inside the earth and lifted. How do we see that earth was lifted by Adisesha? If you go to a place very close to Chennai, it is the road is a very historically documented road called East Coast Road. It was the trade route of the Cholas, ECR. And next to a place where people all go visit, Mayajal. Next to Mayajal is a kshetram called Thiruvidandai, one of the 108 Divyadeshams. The Lord is called Varaha Murti. You see Varaha with Bhumi Devi and below you will see Adishesha. Even the Sarvagnya Google Acharya will confirm that for you. If you type Thiruvidandai Varaha, you will get that picture. You can fact check me like India Today. So you will have Adishesha at the bottom. So the first of the reasons why the Lord incarnated as Varaha is to uplift Bhumi as Adisesha below. He was witness to this. Second is when Hiranyaksha appeared. Hiranya in Sanskritam means gold. Hiranyaksha means even the white portion of his eyes appeared yellow. See, Hiranya should not be again taken in the literal sense. It means his eyes was aurum, AU, gold. His eyes were yellowish. So there is a mention of the complexion, Hiranyakashipu, the one who used to look yellow. So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were around the region of Multan in Pakistan. That is the place where this Avatara is said to have occurred by the banks of river Chandrabhaga, Mulasthanam, Al-Biruni, the great traveler of, the Uzbek traveler of Uzbekistan records it, that there was a temple of Prahlada as well in Multan in the 10th century. That said, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha caused immense burden to the rishis. That is when Shastram says that Varaha, wild boar with two tusks that were akin to the crescent moons that were attached to the tuber. Kola Varaha Mundrai, Nilam Kottidang Konda Yendai, Nilakadal Kadaindai, Ummai Petrini Pokuvano, says Alvar in chaste Tamil. Nilavarai Pirai Irandu Kabbi Nimirundadoppa. It looks like two crescent moons were attached to his nostrils, and then he uplifted earth. So Varaha Avataram in general denotes the restoration of dignity of Mother Earth. That is why, remember, the acharyas who taught me, especially when they would take a sojourn to Tirumala, Tirupati, for 3 days or 4 days, they will not drink even a drop of water when they go. Forget eating, they will not drink water. Why? Because my Purvacharyas believed that the Lord doesn't stay in the hill of Tirumala. The Lord doesn't stay in the hill of Tirumala. The hill is the Lord. Prapadyetam girim prayaha Srinivasanu kampaya ikshusara shravantyeva yanmurtya sharkarayitam vigahe tirtha bahulam shitalam gurusantatim Srinivasa bodhi parivaha parampara, says Vedanta Deshika. The hillock that you see as Tirumala Tirupati in the state of Andhra, as per Brahmanda Puranam and Rigvedam. In Rigveda there is a mention of the hill. Araikane vikate girim gaccha sadanve shirimbitasya chebishtve chatayamasi, says Rigvedam. So there is a mention of the hill. So the hill is regarded as the solidified form of the Lord's mercy, which is like candy. So acharyas never used to eat. Why? Because when you eat, drink, you go atop the hill, you have to excrete. So they used to avoid. That is why, as per Shastram, You should not even spit generally on Mother Earth. You come and tell our Ola drivers, because Mother Earth has to be respected. That is why in Grihava Pravesham, when we do Bhuta Yagyam, we do Prayaschittam, and we say, by constructing a house on you, Mother Earth, we have drilled on your head. We have killed so many beings. Please forgive us. This is a Prayaschittam that we do. We are very concerned, technically, traditionally, rightfully, justfully, very concerned about Mother Nature. So climate change, activism is not new. We have had activists, just that they won't take flights to discuss about this. So Varaha Avataram is called Mahapotrin. There is another reason. There is a teaching from this avatar. See, Varaha, when he was born, he was complete. See, generally, even in the English language, when we have to use phrases and similes and cliches, how did you eat? Oh, I ate like a pig. Don't we say that? If someone has to abuse the other, oh, you dirty swine. So we on one side say that we should not be judgmental about animals. But when we have to complain about some person with dirty habits, we always say it is the boar or the swine. That is why this Sanatana Dharma said, that animal which you have ill-treated all along is when my Lord will come in that form of. Varaha depicts that you can never call anybody less beautiful or ugly. Here is Varaha. And he is complete. How is he complete? See, we have 5 tattvas. We call it Panchabhutas. Akashad Vayuhu. Vayor Agnihi. Agner Apaha. Adbhyav Prithvi. Says Taittiriya Upanishad. Akasham. What is Akash? Well, very good. Who said that? Super. In Shastram, Akasham means space. All this is Akasham, not sky. Any space is called Akasham. Then, sir, air has pervaded the space. Space is Akasham. Shastram says the first of the Panchabhutas to come is Akasham. Akashat Vayuhu. Next comes Vayu, air. Vayor Agnihi, fire. Agner Apaha, water. Adbhyav Prithvi, earth. Earth is the last of the 5 bhutas to come. And each Panchabhuta has a specific feature. Akasham, Shabdam. The Tanmatra, the unique USP of Akasham is Shabdam, sound. Akashad Vayuhu, Vayu's USP is Sparsham, feel. Vayor Agnihi, Agni's USP is Rupam, form. Agner Apaha, water, that's USP is taste. When I went to Melbourne, they said, sir, Melbourne water is the best. So taste, Ruchi. Finally comes Adbhyav Prithvi, Bhumi, smell. Gandhavati Prithvi. One of our directors took Manvasanai. Because Gandhavati Prithvi, Bhumi has smell. So Panchabhutas, Akashad, Vayuhu, Vayor, Agner, Apaha, Adbhyav, Prithvi. 5 Tanmatras. Akasham. Illanna. Stand up on the bench. Akasham is Shabdam. Vayu, Agni, Apaha, water. Ruchi. Prithvi, Gandham. Akasham's Shabdam, how do you sense? Ear. Vayu, Sparsham, skin. Vayor, Agni, Agni form, how? Eyes. Then Apaha, which is taste, tongue. Prithvi, smell, nose. Who suffered at the hands of Hiranyaksha? Mother Earth. What is Earth's USP? Smell. So the solution to the problem of Mother Earth from Bhagavatam came as the wild boar which jumped from Brahma's nose. So nose gave rise to the solution to the problem which was Hiranyaksha. So your solution to any problem in life will be very close to you, but your Purva Janma karma may not help you find that. ஒன்றுமே இல்லை, சாவியை தேடுவா, அவா கழுத்திலேயே இருக்கும். ஹிருதய கமலத்து பக்கத்தில் ஜீவாத்மா பக்கத்தில் இருக்கும். இருக்கும் இடத்தை விட்டு இல்லாத இடம் தேடி எங்கெங்கோ அலைகின்றான் ஞானத்தங்கமே அப்படின்னு ஒருத்தர் பாடியிருக்கார். Third teaching or learning from Varaha Avataram, Varaha walks in the marshes, whether be it the wild boar or the country boar, it is very inclined and attached to the marshy lands, where it is a combination of Mother Earth and water. It is very marshy. So the wild boar and the pig walks there. But there is one flower which arises from the marshes. It is called lotus. Pankajam, Nalini. Pankajam means it comes from the marshes. Such a beautiful flower comes from the marshes. So lotus, I am not making any political statement. So lotus comes from the marshes. Now Varaha, the solution to Mother Earth's problems, like the lotus, came from the marshes. So the lotus and Varaha are related. How? When the wild boar jumped from Brahma's nostril, Brahma was wondering, who is this boar? Hey, tum kaun ho? So Varaha held his hands like this and turned his head. That is when Vishnu Puranam states that Brahma was able to find out who this Varaha was. Why? What gave way? Mahavaraha sputa padmalochanaha. The lotus petal like eyes of the boar gave way to Brahma to understanding that this is an avatar of Narayana. Because Shastram says whenever the Lord is to be identified, his Aadhar card is lotus like eyes. Gambhirambha samudbhuta sumrishtanala ravika ravikasita pundarikadala amala ayatekshana, says Ramanuja. So the lotus comes from the marshes. Wild boar, which is the solution to Mother Earth's problems, also wanders and loiters in the marshes. The eyes of the wild boar are akin to the petals of a lotus. And comes the last learning. There is a belief, as stated by Paramacharya of Kanchi, that the 13th shloka of the 8th dashakam in Narayaniyam is to be recited. Kettugala? Ama ille edha sollணும். Ama iva sollittu. Very good. Asmin paratman nanupadma kalpe tvam utthamitthapita padmayonihi. So there is a mention. And Paramacharya stated this shloka, 13th shloka, 8th dashakam of the compendium of 1036 shlokas called Narayaniyam, specifically if there are patients unfortunately suffering from cancer. Why? This is my little understanding and justification. So, like how we Jivatmas, when we are incorporated in this body, may end up being a good or a bad human being, or somewhere in between. Kadavul paadi, mrugam paadi, kalandu seida kalavai nan. We may be an admixture of the two, like metalloids. But similarly, when we have cells in our human body, certain cells, because every second we have birth of millions of cells, death of millions of cells. But when cells are produced or born, there could be many cells which are damaged cells. Such damaged cells should not stay in our body. That is when there is a process called apoptosis, which says programmed cell death. So the cell will command itself, you are a damaged cell, kill yourself. When it doesn't get killed, such damaged cells get together as a tumor. So the cell which is damaged should die. But if it doesn't, then it causes the problem. So marshes, the marshy lands denote dosham, like the damaged cell. But when you think of the Lord's attributes, like how a lotus which is bereft of blemishes is born from the marshes, so will little hope come by reciting this shloka. So Paramacharya said, recite this shloka. So Varaha also gives hope to those people who are suffering from ailments. This is Varaha Avataram. Next comes the grandest of avatarams, short and sweet, Narasimha Avatara. This Avatara signifies various aspects. One, complete belief in Paramatma. See, when this little boy called Prahlada was asked, see, Prahlada, he was the son of Hiranyakashipu. That itself is a big question. Ivar Pulladana avar. This man talks Nastikam. The son is Astikam. How can two people live in the same house? In Tamil Nadu we have. One person will go around speaking Nastikam, but the wife will go temple after temple. So, if people ask, I just generally mentioned that example. So, if people ask, how is Avataram, Dashavatharam, Andru, Sayida Avataram indru porunduma, ungal vittil porundugindrade. Kelvi ketpadarku adhigaram undo. So, Prahlada was a testimony to the very fact that Astika Buddhi can come if he is in good tutelage. When Kayadhu, Prahlada's mother, while she was carrying Prahlada in her womb, was being kidnapped by Indra. Narada stopped. He said, Indra, you already have too many FIRs. Don't kidnap. Acha nahi lagta. For your stature, don't kidnap. Why are you kidnapping her? Indra said, she is pregnant. So what is your problem? She is pregnant with a child of Hiranyakashipu. What is your problem? He is bad. So the child will also be bad. Indra, that way your father was good. உங்க அப்பா கஷ்யப்பர் நல்லவராதானே பாருந்தார். அது புரியல சடு புரிஞ்சுக்கல அது. So he said, don't worry, you can never be judgmental, you can never decide the future or the nature of a child based on their parents. Never do that. If Ravana abducted Sita, his youngest brother Vibhishana is the greatest of devotees. Parama Bhagavata Mauni Varashashi Vibhakara Sanaka Sanandana Digisha Surakim Purusha Kanaka Kashipu Sutanarada Tumburu Pavana Sunu Bala Chandra Dhara Shuka Saroja Baba Bhusura Varulu Parama Pavanulu Ghanulu Shashvatulu Kamala Baba Sukamusada Nubaba Mugakayendaro Nubavulu Tyagaraja. The great saint poet gives a list of all the Bhagavatas. Parama Bhagavata Mauni, Vara, Shashi, Vibhakara, Sanaka, Sanandana, Digisha, Surakim Purusha, Kanaka Kashipusuta, Narada, Tumburu, Pavanasunu, Balachandra Dhara, Shuka, Saroja Bhava, Bhusura Varulu, Parama Bhava. So he gives a list. So Narada said, don't decide. I will take this lady, and he took to his ashramam and used to give lecture every day. That is why Shravanam is very important in Sanatana Dharma. Keep listening. Today technology is aiding us. We should be thankful. 40 years before you couldn't have imagined that you can listen to any person. You have to go in person. Today you can listen at any point in time. At least I am happy that I am being a side effectless Restil. So you can listen, and the advantage of online Upanyasam is multifold than this live Upanyasam. If you feel that I am talking too much, you can hit right on my mouth. Pause button angadha irukum. Mudiyavaya. Pattan molla. Here you can't do. Men may come, men may go, but I go on forever like Aung San Suu Kyi. I'll keep talking. Till 8:30 I won't leave you. So, Narada used to do pravachanam, and Kayadhu used to listen. Even if she didn't, Shishtacharam says the fetus used to listen, because our listening begins while we are inside our mother's womb. Karuvarangattul kidandeen, kairoludeen, kandeen, thiruvarangan meyanti shai, says Alvar. Puranam says, Jayamanam hi purusham yampashyen madhusudanaha satvikaha satuvigneyaha savai mokshartha chintakaha. That child as a fetus in the amniotic sac, which has managed to listen to the greatness of Paramatma by listening to one of the verses of Ramayanam or Bhagavatam, will only have the opportunity to sit in Sydney one day and listen. You are all Garbha Shriman. Trust me, when you were inside your mother's womb, your mother would have surely listened to at least one line of Ramayanam that Sukrit has put you here. So Prahlada listened, teaching for us. Never expect that there is a certain age for bhakti. Don't designate age. அதுக்கெல்லாம் இப்ப நிறைய டைம் இருக்குன்னா இவர் இருக்கா மாதிரி சொல்வார். புனரபி ஜனனம் புனரபி மரணம். யூ டோன்ட் நோ வென் தட் மொமெண்ட் ஆஃப் டெத் வில் அக்கர். ஹூ கேன் கிவ் இன் ரைட்டிங்? இல்லை சார், இன்னும் 20 வருஷம் இருப்போம், ஒன்றும் சொல்ல முடியாது. எனி மொமெண்ட் யூ கேன் டை. டில் யூ லிவ், திங்க் ஆஃப் பரமாத்மா. It's a wonderful opportunity. Why will Adi Shankara and Ramanuja insist on this? What is their benefit? They want us to seek enlightenment. So Prahlada is a source of inspiration because bhakti comes from that stage. And his bhakti was so strong that little lad of 4 years could stand in front of his tyrant father and say, yes, I do believe in Paramatma. His father's warnings and violent dialogues couldn't deter the boy's confidence. He said, Trailokyameta dakhilam Narasimha garbham. Shanilumulan, Shadakuri itta kunilumulan. Nee sollum sollilumulan. You keep asking me, where is that Paramatma who protects me? He stays within every letter of that you speak. That confidence, rakshishyati iti vishwasaha, that confidence. We go through so many problems. Shankara, such an intellectual, died at the age of 32. Nammalvar died at the age of 32. Ramanuja was persecuted by the Chola kings, due to which he had to come to Karnataka. The Vedanta Deshika had to sleep amongst the dead corpses when Muhammad bin Tughlaq raided Srirangam. All such intellectuals suffered in their lives. We are no one in front of them. When we suffer, we should look up to them. Avale kashtapatrikale. This is how we should see. Sita as a single mother, she brought up her 2 children. When those 2 children sang Ramayanam in front of Rama, they were not cognizant of the fact that they are actually singing the biography of their father. The father was not cognizant that these 2 children were his. When Krishna was born to Devaki, that very night, even without feeding him with colostrum, he was transferred to Gokulam. At the age of 10, Yashoda was told, this is not your son. How difficult it would have been for Yashoda to get separated from her son, because her daughter was gone, Parvati. When Krishna married Rukmini, his son Pradyumna was kidnapped while he was at the age of 6. 6th day boy he was. Draupadi, when she was married to Arjuna, due to a unimaginable circumstance, she was made to marry 5. She was made fun. She was polyandrous. Nobody who was polygamous was made fun, but a polyandrous lady was made fun. When she was menstruating, Ekavastra Rajasvala, when blood was flowing, she was brought to the Sabha and she was to be stripped by. The idea was given by Karna. Ullattil nalla ullam. That Karna gave this idea. Karna is no noble man as per Mahabharata. He is good as per only our director's movies. As per Vyasa's Bharata, Karna is not projected as a very noble person. But we are happy with Viki Purana. So Draupadi's life was not a bed of roses. It was infested with thorns. So our Acharya state, whenever you have a problem, see those people and then console yourself. There will be a solution, but that solution will come. Shastram says, Anukulyasya sankalpam pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishwasaha. Confidence. That boy had that confidence. Sarvatra asti sada asti. Narasimha Avataram is not about the Lord's greatness. It is about the devotee's greatness. Vedanta Deshika, of course, he says, Yadrichaya Mahakachapa Viharakachapa Mahapotrin Yadricha Harehe. See, when the Lord appeared, he had a customizable programming table next to him. Why? He had to come in a combination of human and animal form. The animal could have been any animal. He could have come with a cat's face, kangaroo's face. Why should it be only lion's face? Because Kambaramayanam says, even before the Lord emerged, Hiranyakashipu asked, "O Prahlada, will your Lord come as a lion?" There's a question. Immediately the Lord programmed, pressed lion button. His face turned into lion, AI. And he emerged. Stambe ghattayato hiranyakashipo karnau samachurnayannaghurna jagadanda kunda kuharo ghorastava bhudrava shutva yam kila daitya raja hridaye purvakadapyashrutam kampaktashchana sampapata daitosma amboja bhuvishtarat. He appeared. Yadricha. Vedanta Deshika says, Yadricha Harehe. Hari means the one who steals our papams. Harir Harati Papani. Hari also means lion. Yadricha Harehe. He came as the lion. Yadricha. Icha means you desire or you know. Yadricha, when you don't desire or you don't know what will happen next, he came. He didn't announce. On the day, he didn't come. Vandutar. Oh, இதுதான் போல இருக்கு. புதுசா இருக்காரே அப்படிங்கிறதுக்குள்ள கிழிச்சிட்டு போயிட்டார். Short and sweet avataram. See, in Tamil Nadu, we have our own set of people. Raman ippadi cheidane. Adu seriya. They will keep questioning Rama. No one will question Narasimha because they know what gati will happen to them. Rama தான் பாவம் 500 வருஷம் வீடியோ வாங்கியிருக்கார் பாருங்க. ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டே அவருக்கு இப்போ தான் கிடைச்சது. But they are okay with Krishna in Tamil Nadu because everything what Krishna did applies to them இல்லையா? Gopalapuram. அதனால so here now get back to நான் சும்மா சொன்னேன் அதாவது கிருஷ்ணர் இருக்கிற இடம் கோபாலம் ராமர் இருக்கிற இடம் ராமாவரம் அவ்வளவுதான். Now let's get back to the Lord who appeared. Now there's another point. I know I have got few more avatarams to say, but this is a subtle point. I'm sure the Astikas here are very well read. They will appreciate. 1000 years before, when the great Acharya Ramanuja commented upon the Brahma Sutras, there was a pertinent question asked. Sir, you say that the Jivatma comes from Paramatma. You say that this Achetana Shariram, the insentient body, also comes from Paramatma. But when we see this regular world, we don't see that insentient raw materials give rise to mic. Mic is also insentient with no jnanam. The raw materials will also have no jnanam. Instead, my mother has given birth to me. She is a Chetana, I am a Chetana. Chetana Vastu gives rise to a Chetana Vastu. Achetana Vastus, insentient raw materials, give rise to insentient raw materials. But how does God, who is knowledgeable, give rise to both the Jivatma and the insentient body, they asked. To which Ramanuja applied two rules. He said, when you look at the nails that grow from the body, except the cuticle, which is the living portion, everything else is a conglomerate of dead cells. So dead cells come from the Chetana body, Chetana Jivatma. So there is an example where the Chetana stimulates the growth of Achetana. On the other hand, look at a baby scorpion, because in generic zoology, we say those which are born from the mothers directly are viviparous. Those that are born from the mothers in the form of an egg and then the egg hatches is called oviparous. But scorpions are ovoviviparous. The little one stays within the egg and the egg stays within the mother. So essentially the egg has to get incubated and it has to tear open the back of the mother scorpion to come out. For which the mother scorpion would go to a cow shed where the hot cow dung would fall. When the hot dung falls on her, then she gets incubated and the little one comes. When you see the little one emerging from the insentient cow dung, it appears that insentient give rise to sentient. So Ramanuja said in Narasimha Avataram, the pillar insentient gave rise to Narasimha, sentient. The sentient Narasimha used his insentient nails to tear open. So logic cannot be always applied to Paramatma. So that is another message. In the fifth Avatara as Vamana, Vedanta Deshika says, Ichamina Vihara Kachapa Mahaputrin Yadricha Harehe Raksha Vamana. Even before I go to Vamana, this Yadricha I told, right? Icha na ase, desire. Yadricha, just like that. This Yadricha over a period of time in Tamil became Yedechiya. You heard here Yadrichaya, Yedechiya. So how words change region to region? This is another blatant example of it. Coming to Vamana Avataram, Vamana was born as the son of Kashyapa Prajapati and Aditi Devi, while they were housed in a place called Siddhashramam, which is in the current day Bihar. Vamana, while he was born, his name was Upendra. But he was given the name Vamana because he was too short. Vamana means dwarf. Then Upanayanam was performed to him while he was at the age of 5. Shastram says Upanayanam's minimum age is 7. But how did he get it at 5? There is an exception to the general rule. If the child is able to pronounce mantras very well, you can also do it at the age of 5. There is a rule. What if the pronunciation doesn't come at all, sir? Appum pottaganum, vera vali illa. Yeah. So, Vamana, as a little boy, Upanayanam was performed. He was too short. You can't imagine how short he was, says Alvar. Unimaginably short. And to that unimaginably short Vamana, during his Upanayanam, Janeyu Dharanam, Upavitam, gifts came. One person gave one customized umbrella. Kutti koda. Kutti kamandalam. One deer skin. Krishna jinam yavanikam kritavan priyayaha. Because Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, when you put the deer skin below and meditate, other insects will not come and disturb you in meditation. So, the deer skin was given and he had to cover his chest. Why? Message. Because you can never have aghatita ghatana, opposing views in the same avatara. Vamana has to go to the Yajnavatika of a king called Bali. Bali had illegally amassed a lot of wealth. He had bought shares in Sebi closing, window closing. So all this disproportionate share of wealth was there with him. And Indra had lost all his wealth, so there was a vratam done to so that give back that wealth to the lost person. So Vamana had to go. But Vamana is going technically to make Bali poor. But in the chest of the Lord there is always Mahalakshmi. Ahalagille nirayumenna alarmel mangai urai marba. She has permanently is residing in the chest of the Lord. And wherever Mahalakshmi looks, that person becomes prosperous. Now the Lord's aim is to make Bali poor. And he carries Mahalakshmi in his chest. If he goes to the Yajnavatika and she keeps looking at him, he can never become poor. So the Lord has to say, Mahalakshmi, konja yarangi ipdi orama iruma. She says, nothing doing. Shastram says, I have to permanently sit here. Neither can he ask her to get down. Nor can he go to the Yajnavatika with her. And neither can he showcase her. There was another problem. He was a brahmachari. So that is when Vedanta Deshika says he immediately covered his chest with the deer skin so that it becomes like a partition. Yavanika, screen. Telugu bhashalo, madhyallo unna Yavanikaki oka peru Marugu. See, in the Telugu, Maharashtrian and Kannada marriages, there is one paddhati where between the bride and the groom there is a screen drawn. So, till the Purohita says the boy cannot see the girl, then they will take the screen. Sita was bent upon seeing Rama. She wanted to see Rama. But Madhyalo, there was a Yavanika in their marriage, the screen drawn. So she tells Rama, I've been waiting this long to see you. Who has placed this Marugu? Marugu, Yelara, Raghava. Marugu, Yelara. Adi oka shabdam, Marugelara. Marugela chara chara rupa, Marugela chara chara rupa. Marugu, that screen is what the Lord drew between him and Bali. So Mahalakshmi was covered. So he goes to the Yajnavatika. And he asks for Dhanam. He says 3 measures of land. That is when Bali says, bring those Varagadam papers. Pallik Karanai. Ingalla lekalla vidakirkalo kuduma. That is when Vamana said, see, I won't accept these 3 shares of land. I will measure it myself. Hare Baba, your foot is actually negligible. What will you measure? He said, I will do it, don't worry. That is when Shukracharya stopped. There is a message here. See, in Vamana Avataram, there are 2 instances, one after the other. Bali promises that boy instantly, I will give whatever you want. Shukracharya comes running, holds Bali's hand and takes him at the side and says, Bali, don't react to what I say. Don't turn that side. Don't turn that side. Just listen. Who is this boy? I don't know. He's called Upendra. Why has he come? He said he needs 3 measures of land. What did you say? I will give. No. You go tell him, I will get back to you shortly. Sir, abdi chonna en per enna customer care. Why? Because this is the same boy in his previous incarnation tore open your ancestor Hiranyakashipu. But Bali said, see, I have assured him, promised him. Nana Kaliyugatha politician. Sir. I cannot not go back on my word. So I need to give him. At that point in time, Shukracharya says, you have been so devout to me as a Sishya, but you are not adhering to your Acharya's words. So you shall lose your property. So if you go against your Acharya's words, there is some kind of a damage. So Bali had to lose his property very soon. But you may counter argue. No sir, but Bali was right in being generous. It was the Acharya who stopped. So even the Acharya bears the brunt of it. He loses one eye. As a bumblebee, when Vamana uses his darbha grass, he takes the eye of that bumblebee. Shukkiran kannai aruttane chakkarakkayane acho acho. That is why Muthuswami Dikshitar says, Keshava katakshaika netram. So both are mistakes. You have to promise with the agreement of your Acharya, and the Acharya should not misguide the student. If you do, both of them will face consequences of it. Finally, Bali Chakravarti was pushed into the netherworlds. He was pushed. But there is a technical problem here. When the Lord measured the worlds, where was Bali? Mars la irundar saravar. He was on earth. So when the Lord measured the earth, he measured the earth that was inclusive of Bali. So technically for the third measure, Bali couldn't have re-offered himself. Correct? Yes. See, I've told people many a times there is a difference between a music concert and an upanyasam. In a music concert, first they will switch off your lights. Unga pakkam irukka light ella anuchuruva. And பாடுறவாளும் ரொம்ப மகா வித்வான்கள் கண்ணு மூடின்னு பாடிடுவா. இல்லாட்டா வயலினை பார்த்து சிரிப்பா, இங்க பார்த்து சிரிப்பா. I have nobody here. I have to keep looking at you. So only with your interaction I can go. If it is one way, I find it very tough. So here, he couldn't have offered himself again. But then Bali said, Oh Lord, I find no other solution. Put your holy lotus-like foot on my head. Correct? But the Lord too agreed and put. Then what happened to this rule? That is where we need to get a learning from this avatara. The Lord did not measure Bali, but he measured Bali's ahankara. Why? See, I'm sure there are elderly people here as well. 40, 50 years before, 60 years before, marriages couldn't be conducted in the grandiose fashion that we do it today. இல்லையா இப்போல்லாம் வந்து ஜானவாசம் கிரீஸில், அடுத்த நாள் கல்யாணம் சிங்கப்பூரில், க்ரூஸில் வந்துட்டு ஒரு 10 நாள் கழிச்சு பண்ணிட்டு போகிறா. But it was not that easy to conduct marriages 60 years back. They had very little money. They had to cook by themselves. No contractor. பட்டப்பா, அறுசுவை நடராஜன் ஒருத்தரும் இல்லை, ராஜசேகர் யாரும் இல்லை, இவாதான். And there was no WhatsApp or anything of that sort. So where that you could save your time by sending online invitations. RSVP, vanda sandosham, varlena romba sandosham. Yeah. Nothing. They had to go house after house carrying a platter with the essential clothes, the betel leaves and the areca nuts, and then they had to submit themselves to the owner of the house stating that please come for the marriage. I don't know if you've seen a typical Sri Vaishnava invitation. It will be bright yellow on one side, bright pink on the other side. I don't know whichever Savyasachi gave that color combination. So it will be written Srimad Vedamarga Pratishthapanacharyarai Shanta Shamadamadi Asankheya Kalyana Gunangal Sampurnarai Elundarudi Irukkakoodiya Swamiyin Sannidhiyil Adiyen Thalum Tadakkayum Koopicheyum Vignapanam Ubhaya Kushalopari Kshemam Ayyambettai ராஜகோபால ஐயங்காரின் திரௌஹித்ரனும் வளையப்பேட்டை ராமய்யங்காரின் பௌத்திரனும் அடியேனுடைய கனிஷ்ட குமாரனுமான அபர்யாப்தாமிருதன் என்கின்ற நித்தினுக்கு, நமக்கு நித்தினை தான் தெரியும், அபர்யாப்தாமிருதன் நித்தினுக்கே தெரியாது. Then on the other side we give அபித குச்சாம்பான் என்கின்ற நிஷாவிற்கு, please come for the marriage, we say. So in 60 years back, when you go house after house and submit, and technically houses were cheaper by the dozen, you had at least 10, 12 people in a house. There will be 3 daughters married to their respective husbands, and the 3 sons-in-law will be staying in the house. Navagrahame venna. So they had to go give the invitation. And then you have to say, we have a marriage in our house, all of you should come. They'll give one invitation and go. Most of it was handwritten, no printing. They'll say, please come, all of you should come. After they leave, will begin the discussion in the house. Then they'll say, Yarallam pola, Maple, oh my dear Jamata, will you come? Navarale. Ellareyum koopta, enna kooptala? He called everybody, right? He said, please come, all of you. He said, all of you. Did he specifically tell me? That is ahankaram. When the Lord measured the worlds, Bali thought, he has measured the worlds. I was not measured. That I in him was the third step. Ahankaram. So the teaching is, ahankaram beyond a certain point will be a big deterrent to your spiritual understanding. Ichamina vihara kachapa mahapotrin yadricha harehe raksha vamana. He is there to protect everyone. Raksha vamana. Rakshatvam. Rakshanatvam is the ability or the USP of Vamana. Next comes Parashurama. See, we have had 3 Ramas. I keep telling this in my Upanyasams. We had 3 Ramas. One is J Ram. Yaravar. Jamadagni's son Rama. J Rama. Parashurama is J Rama. Jamadagneya. So Jamadagni's son Parashurama is J Rama. Next is D Rama. Dashavatharam. Sundara Dasharatha Nandana Rama. Dasharathi. D Rama is Dashavatharam. Then we had V Rama. Vasudeva's son Rama, Balarama. So he was V Rama. J Rama, D Rama, V Rama. Kali Yugam N Rama. So the first 3 Ramas are enough for us, not that N Ram. Now, here Parashurama was the son of Renuka Devi and Jamadagni. In Maharashtra, there is a place called Mahur, where Renuka Devi is worshipped. Muthuswami Dikshita invokes her blessings through a kriti because she is Parashurama Janani. Venuvadya dinuta vijayanagara sthite manika bhushani madhura rasa bhashini bana sadrisakshini Parashurama Janani Konatrayavasini Guru Buha Vishwasini Kannada Bhangale Gandharva Bhanjani Renuka Devi. Renuka Devi, she is called Renuka Devi, and Jamadagni had sons. Krodhagnim Jamadagni Pidana Bhavam. See, you don't have to just learn from avatars. You should also learn how not to be. See, past is not only about singing glory. It is also about how not to be. Krodhagnim Jamadagni Pidana Bhavam. Parashurama, who was born and nurtured as a Brahmana, developed unwarranted anger because his father's death was caused in the hands of a king called Kartavirya-Arjuna, a Haihaya king belonging to the city of Maheshwar in the current day Madhya Pradesh. So he said, I shall vanquish the one who massacred my father, and he ended up killing many other Kshatriyas. What he did later is not something that we can fathom with ease. He collected the blood and performed tarpanam to his father with that blood. Vedanta Deshika says what he did. Kratuhara shikhari kantuka vihrutyunmuga jagadiruntu dajita hari danti danta danturonta dashavadana damana kushala dashashata bhujamuka nrupati kula rudira jara bharita prututara tataka tarpita pitrika brugupati sugati vigatikara nataparudishu pariga. How he performed tarpanam with that blood. So, that unwarranted anger will not be celebrated. That is why, despite being an avatara, we don't have many temples for Parashurama. People will ask, why no temples? Because he is respected, but not revered. That quality in an avatara. Why, sir? When the Lord also takes avatara, why should he have mistakes? That is when Shastram says there are two kinds of avataras. Mukhya avataram, amukhya avataram. Mukhya avataram is called Purna avataram, complete avataram. Bhattadri Narayaniyam says, Tatte Pratyagradhara Dhara Lalitakala Yavali Kelikaram Lavanyasyaikasaram Sukriti Janadrisham Purna Punyavataram Lakshmi Nishankalila Nilayanam Amritasyanda Sandoham Antaha Sinchatu Sanchintakanam Vapuhu Anukalaye Marutagara Natha. So he is a complete avatara. Rama and Krishna avatarams are complete avatarams, where the Lord is Rama, where the Lord is Krishna. But there are amukhya avatarams. There are avataras where the Lord isn't born as himself. He chooses one jivatma like one of us and induces one of his qualities. So that avatara will stand out from the rest but still will have many flaws. So Balarama Avataram, Parashurama Avataram, they are all amukhya avataram, apurna avataram. When it is an apurna avatara, it will always suffer defeat at the hands of Purna Avatara. That is why Parashurama's Garva Bhangam happened at the hands of Rama. Dinakaran Vayatilakam Divya Gadhi Suta Savana Vanarachita Subahu Mukha Vadam Ahalya Pavanam Anagham Isha Chapa Bhangam Janaka Suta Pranesham Ghana Kupita Bhrugurama Garvaharamita Saketam Kupita Bhrugurama Garvarahita. So that Bhrugurama, Bhargavarama, Parashurama's Garvam was brought to an end by Rama. So Apurna Avataram, which is Parashurama, will suffer defeat at the hands of Purna Avataram Rama. Same is the case in Krishna Avataram. Balarama and Apurna Avataram would always make plans. None of it will succeed. He wanted to get his sister Subhadra married to his Sishya Duryodhana. But Krishna knew that they were multi-nodal relationship with Duryodhana, because Duryodhana's daughter was married to Krishna's son. Krishna had a son through Jambavati called Shambha, and he was married to the daughter of Duryodhana. So Duryodhana and Krishna are sambandhis. So when a yuddham comes, Krishna was duty bound to help Duryodhana. And if Duryodhana ends up marrying Subhadra as well, then it will become a bigger problem. So he wanted Arjuna to marry. So he told, Arjuna went on a Tirtha Yatra. I am not getting into the details. He went on a Tirtha Yatra. So Krishna said, wherever you go, finally come to Gujarat. Come near Raivataka, I will take you. So Arjuna, when you go to the forest, there is a rule in Shastram that you should not shave. Inside the forest, Shmashruvardhanam is not allowed. Barber is not allowed. That is why Rama for 14 years, he had a jata and dadi. He didn't shave. So Arjuna returned with a dadi and jata after Tirtha Yatra. He reached the outskirts of Dwaraka. Immediately people said, Arjunananda has come. He came as a sannyasi. So immediately Krishna, as an event management person, he said, Subhadra, you cater to him. So she took dokla, fafda, khandvi, thepla, chunda, undiyo, kadi. Kadina Tamil le. So all of that. She was serving him. There is one beautiful Sanskrit work called Subhadra Harana Champu. Beautiful Sanskrit poem. The conversation that Arjunananda had with Subhadra. Subhadra plays some jangri. How is the jangri, Guruji? So jangri is also good. The hand is also good. Then finally Krishna said, Arjuna, this is my sister Subhadra. Subhadra, you have been engaged to Duryodhan. मैं दुर्योधन से शादी नहीं करूंगी. किससे करोगी? अर्जुन से. तुम अर्जुन को देखी हो सुभद्रा? नहीं, यही है अर्जुन. So then they wanted to escape from the wrath of Balarama. So Krishna said the only way to escape from Balarama's wrath is when Subhadra kidnaps you, Arjuna. Arjuna should not kidnap. What should I do, Bhaiya? So she said, Krishna said, you become the charioteer, Sarathi. Behind Arjuna should stand and say, Bachao, Bachao. and Balarama cannot do anything. So Balarama's plans were broken by a Purna Avataram called Krishna. So after Parashurama, we have Rama Avatara. That is Ramayanam for us. It gave the world a grand epic called Rama Avataram. 24,000 shlokas, the essence of Gayatri Mantram. Bhagavad Ramanuja managed to learn 18 rahasyas from Ramayana. Bahyakshepaha, Kalarthaha, Bhavabayam, Sadvrittam, Acharyavatta, Gayatri Arthaha, Hitamuchitaparam, Tattva Arthamscha Pancha, Karpanyam, Sheshabhavaha, Ghataka Vidipalam, Paratantriam Tatatat, Kashthakala Pratiksha, Vasati Padamiti, Prahuhu, Ashtadasharthan. 18 rahasyas Ramanuja learnt as the quintessence of Ramayana from his maternal uncle called Srishaila Purna in a span of 1 year. One of the rahasyas of Ramayana is you have set of first 1,000, second 1,000, third 1,000, fourth 1,000, fifth 1,000, sixth 1,000, 7,000. Every set of 1,000 shlokas housed in Bala, Ayodhya, Aranya, Kishkindha, Sundara, Yuddha, Uttarakandam. You extract the first letter of the first shloka of every set of 1,000 shlokas, put them together, you get Gayatri Mantram. Tatsa Viturva Reniyam Bhargo. You will get one of the rahasyas of Ramayanam. Ramayanam is a treasure trove. Trust me. It is Pramana Grantham. Every Madhuram Madhuraksharam, every letter will have something to tell us. 6 commentaries on the Ramayana in Sanskritam. We have Tattva, Tilakam, Vivekam, Shiromani, Bhushanam, Dharmakutam, Katakam. These are all commentaries on the Ramayana. So rich. Abridged versions and translations, sorry to say, the truth is, can never do justice to the original work. In Srimad Ramayanam, what should I say, what should I not say? But Vedanta Deshika uses this word, Karuna Kakutstha. Karuna. What is the essence of Ramayanam? Karuna. Well, you may become a devil's advocate. Why didn't he show that Karuna to Sita while she was pregnant? Yeah. I will answer that later. That's a pertinent question to ask. But trust me, just because the question is strong and you presumably think the answer is weak, your listening capability should not be marred because of it. That said, in Sri Rama Avataram, the essence is Karuna. Vedanta Deshika says, Karuna Kakutstha. He gives me one clue also. Dushyanth, you take this to your Sydney people. Karuna Kakutstha. How? See, in Srimad Ramayanam, Rama was born. He was having a very good saubhratritvam, enjoyable fraternity, brotherhood with his brothers. Girvanair arthyamano dashamukha nidhanam kosalesh vrishya shringe putriyam ishtimishtva dadushi dasharatakshma bhrite payasagryam tad bhuktva tad purandhrishvapi trishusu samam jatagarbha sujato ramastvam lakshmanena swayamatha bharatena api shatrughna namna. He had such a good relationship. See, Ramayana, everything looks like very perfect and picture perfect and ideal. 4 brothers, no fight. And they had their respective wives coming from the same kulam. Janaka had 2 daughters, Sita and Urmila. His younger brother Kushadhwaja had 2 daughters, Urmila, Mandavi and Shrutakirti. They were given in marriage. Everything worked well. Rama's CV was not that great. He used to listen to his parents. Appa kavalapatar. He went and asked Dasharatha, why are you worried? My son is not married. He is running 11 years. He is not married. Tell me what are his achievements. He listens to his parents' words. So that is when, to develop that CV, immediately he got Tataka Vadham, Subahu Vadham, driven away Maricha, Ahalyodharanam. Immediately the CV was developed in 6 days. And when they went to Janakapattinam, he broke the palm water chupta, the Kalyanam gift. So he married Sita and they all came back to Ayodhya. Everything was fine. That is when Manthara came. தோன்றிய கூனியும் துடிக்கும் நெஞ்சினாள் ஊன்றிய வெகுளியாள் உழைக்கும் உள்ளத்தாள் கான்றிய இணையத்தாள் கதிக்கும் சொல்லினாள் மூன்று உலகினிற்கும் ஓர் இடுக்கண் மூட்டுவாள். The one who has adapted brainwashing people, Manthara, the hunchback lady, came and brainwashed Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi sought those two boons. Rama was called and he was told, there was a plan A yesterday to make you the Yuvaraja. There's a plan B now, go to the forest. Krishna Avatara case போட்டிருப்பார். Vaya. What do you think of yourself, Mr. Dasharatha? My advocate Kapil and Abhishek Manu will talk to you. எங்க ஊர்ல அதுக்குனே ஒரு அட்வொகேட் இருக்கா. At least if those two are not available, Evergreen Subramanyam Swami will fight. ஒரு கேஸ் போடுறதுக்குனே பிறந்தவர். அதெல்லாம் தப்பா எடுத்துட்டு போறார் அவர். இந்த வீடியோ வேற எங்கேயாவது போட்டா அவ்வளோ எம்எல்ஏ போட்டுருவார் கேஸ். ரொம்ப நல்லவர் அவர். ஸோ அவ்வளோதான். ஸோ that is when Rama said no, Pitruvakya Paripalanam is important. He left for the forest. Sita said, आप किधर जा रहे हो? One, सीता मैं बन जा रहा हूँ, मुझे आप मम्मा के पास रखो, I will come with you. உங்கள் மாமி ஏம்மா இங்கே மாமியார் இல்லை மாமியார்கள் எல்லாம் நன்னா வேற இருக்குது, போகிற மாதிரியே இல்லை, இதோட யார் இருப்பாம்மா, நான் உன்னோடையே வந்துடுறேனே. So she came. Then came Lakshmana. He said, I have to serve the both of you, I will come. So all three of them left. Now they walked place after place. They wanted to get out of the boundary of Ayodhya because they didn't want people to keep visiting them. If people slowly start visiting, then they'll buy one neighborhood near Rama's place. Real estate prices will go up. One grammar school will come. Then the child will be asked to work to get ducks. So idella undrum. So Rama said we have to be away. So from Kosala Desham of Ayodhya, they went to Vatsadesham. Vatsadesham is where Prayagraj is, Allahabad. The erstwhile Allahabad, Prayagraj, where Ganga and Yamuna meet. They went to Bharadwaja Ashramam, Shringiverapuram, where Guha was, Nishadanam, Neta, Kapikulapatihi, Kapishabari. Then they went to a small hamlet, not inhabited by many people. It was by the banks of river Malyavati, surrounded by hills at the tip of Madhya Pradesh called Chitrakuta. So while they were staying there, one day Lakshmana came and asked, what should I cook Sita Mata? She will give the menu every day. She will say, Thai curry, Thai curry. Do all this and Lakshmana will do. And they had out of 14 years of Vanavasam, 13 years was a golden period for Sita. It is not as if they were languishing in the forest. 13 years was 14th year and tragedy. So after sumptuous food, Rama said, I need to take some rest, power nap. There are two places you can take power nap. One in the office, second in Upanyasam. அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் அப்படியே அசர்ற மாதிரி இருக்கும், கேட்குற மாதிரி இருக்கும். பரவாயில்ல, கவலைப்படாதீங்க, கடைசியாக முடிக்கும் போது எழுந்துட்டா போகிறோம். ஸோ Rama took some power nap. He put his head on Sita's lap and he was sleeping. As Sita was resting on the trunk of the tree, there was this crow, Kaka. Kakamatram, says Valmiki, one crow who was looking down at Sita's very tender skin as any other bird. Unga urla onu kottume magpie, adoda tata, yanda tandai 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 tammutappan. So the ancestors of magpie used to live in Chitrakuta. Migration of birds happened, right? So they came here. So this Kaka was looking at Sita and went and pricked her bosom. Blood started oozing. The tender lady that she was, she couldn't withstand the withering pain. It was excruciating to say the least. So as she gave that tremor, Rama thought something is wrong and rose. He saw that her silk clothes were drenched. And he looked up, he saw that Kaka with its beak dripping blood. He knew what would have happened. See, this is called Nyaya Shastram. You should always associate. Sita, enna maachu? Kaka parandu vidum. You should never ask redundant questions. See, when children fall and coming, you immediately you should give first aid. ஏண்டா ஒழுங்காக தானே இருந்தது, எப்படி விழுந்து சொல்லு. 6 மணி நேரம் அதை சொல்லும், நான் இப்படி போனேன் அப்பா, விழுந்தேன் அப்பா. Redundant questions you should not ask. So immediately Rama knew that the bird is the cause of Sita's pain. He could have said, Lakshmana, Go get my bow and the quiver of arrows. பறந்து போயிடும். He took one blade of grass. Aishikam, it is called in Dhanurveda Shastra. You convert any object that you see around you into an astra. That art is called Aishikam. Who understood this? Our parliamentarians. என்ன கையில் கிடைக்கிறது ஆயுதம் எல்லாம் ஐஷிக புத்தி. So Rama used that blade of grass. That is why in colloquial Tamil we say, for an adept person even a blade of grass can become an astra. Vallavanukku pullum ayudam. So he released that astra. Treen lokan samparikramya tameva sharanam gataha. It went and knocked at his father's door, and finally the bird came and sought asylum, refuge at Rama's feet. Remember, there is a marked difference. Ravana abducted Sita, but he didn't do anything after that. He would just keep, hey, you have to marry me. All the Rakshasis come here. Ekakshi, Ekakarni. Keep reminding her. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு போயிடுவான். அவ்வளோதான். ரொம்ப சாதாரண வில்லன். Raghuvaran. So he used to just keep warning her, but he lost all his 10 heads. Arunagirinathar says, Muttai tarvatti tirunagayattikkira shakti charavana muttik kuruvittu kuruvarayana vodum mukkat paramarkachurudi முற்பட்டது கற்பித்திருவரு 30 முவர்க்கத்தமரருமடி பேண 10 தலவொத்த கணைதுடு ஒற்றை கிரைமத்தை பொருதொரு வட்டப்பட வட்டத்தீரிலிரவாக பத்தற்கிரதத்தை கடவிய பச்சை புயல் மெச்சு தகுபொரு பக்ஷத்துடு ரக்ஷி தருள்வதும் ஒரு நாளே. வேதாந்த தேசிகா says 10 தலை ஒரு கொத்து என உதிர்த்த திரளோன். So Ravana just abducted. He lost his life. In contrast, this bird physically assaulted Sita, but it didn't lose its life. That is where Valmiki says, Rama, who is very merciful when Sita is by his side. Underline that point. If Sita was by Rama's side on the battlefield in Lanka when Rama was fighting Ravana, Ravana would not have been killed. Karuna Kakutstha. Rama is Kakutstha. Karuna is Sita. See, when Bhadrachala Ramadas, called Kancharala Goppanna, 500 years before, constructed a very petite but a very beautiful temple atop the Achalam called Bhadrachalam by the banks of river Godavari in the current day Telangana. I have to first look at the map. He constructed the temple. He was thrown into the jail of Golconda near Hyderabad by Tanasha. He used to keep pleading to Rama, Rama, please release me. I am not able to take the lashes of this Tanasha. He hits me every day, Rama. At one point in time, he gets angry. He says, Rama, you sit on the hillock of Bhadrachalam in Telangana. You shine with all radiance and resplendence with those emerald stones. Was that chain given by your father-in-law? Mamanara kudutara. Ni mama ajanaka maharaja pampena Ramachandra Ikshvakukula tilaka ikanaina palu kave Ramachandra. Then he realized, if I talk to this Ikshvakukula tilaka Kakutstha Rama, no use. I will talk to his Karuna. Nanu brovamani cheppave Sitam matalli nanu brovamani cheppave Nanu brovamani cheppu nari shiromani Janaku niku tura janani janakamma Nanu brova. So he said, there is no use in talking to Rama, who's the descendant of Kakutstha, who's Kakutstha. I will not talk to him. I will talk to his Karuna, which is Sita. Immediately he got released. So when Sita was assaulted by the crow, Kaka, and next to Sita was standing Rama, Rama wanted to annihilate this bird. But he didn't. He just took one eye out of it. Adan kannai aruttadum or adayalam. He just took one eye. Why didn't he kill Sir? Because he had Sita next to him. Without Sita, there is no Ramayanam. That is why Valmiki, after registering his manuscripts with the Gazette of India as Ramayanam, wonders, I made a grave mistake. I should have called it Sitayanam, Sitayas Charitam Mahat. It looks superficially that Rama's greatness is mentioned. But when you go deep is when you realize it is all Sita throughout in Ramayanam. Karuna Kakutstha. Next is Hela Halin. Hela Halin, which is Balarama. Balarama, the message of Balarama Avataram is to be playful, like Kurma Avataram. But there is an unlearning that we have to do. As per some of the shlokas in Sri Mahabharatam and Bhagavatam, Balarama also had unmatam. Unmatam means intoxicated by varuni, liquor. This is the mention. See, now you may ask, sir, is it there? Our rishis were honest journalists. Today, those two words are an oxymoron. Sir, can a journalist be honest? It may seem like an oxymoron, aghatita ghatanam. But Valmiki and Vyasa were honest to the core. They reported what they saw. They were not bothered about what assumptions and presumptions and conclusions we will derive. If Valmiki was so vigilant, he could have quietly cut that Agni Pariksha. We would not have known at all, right? He could have just said that they all lived happily ever after. Fairy tale madri mudichirkalam. Why did he have to report every incident? See, I'll give you an example how truthful is Valmiki. See, generally when we picturize a Rama as a Maryada Purushottama, we deem him to be the epitome of all attributes. Not a single flaw. Correct. When he was asked to become the king, he said okay. When he was told go to the forest, he said okay. See sir, eppadi irkar paruங்க sir. நாட்டாளுனா சரிங்கிறது, காட்டுக்கு போனா சரிங்கிறார். Correct. He had immense respect for Kaikeyi. But in Aranya Kandam, there is one particular place. When they enter the forest, Sita is abducted by a Rakshasa called Viradha. First kidnap. Sita had kidnapped one, kidnapped two. This is kidnapped one. Sita was kidnapped by Viradha. Viradha takes Sita because Sita was adorned with gold jewelry in forest. She was adorned in silk clothes. He immediately was attracted by it. He took away and ran. When Viradha was running away with Sita, Rama was first perplexed. He said, Lakshmana, we need to run behind this demon and retrieve Sita from his clutches. They started running. That time Valmiki says what Rama told Lakshmana. Rama told Lakshmana, Lakshmana, see, as such we have left all, relinquished all our comforts and we have come into the woods. We thought we will lead a simple life of a tapasvi. The moment we entered, my dear Sita has been kidnapped, giving me lot of melancholy and anger. Maybe this is what Kaikeyi desired to happen. This is a line of Rama. Kaikeyi nenachadu nadandurthu par. So generally we won't be told this line in Upanyasams, because we Upanyasakas feel that will mask Rama's character. But when Valmiki is honest, we should also be equally honest. We don't celebrate Rama because he was 100% perfect. We celebrate Rama because he tried his level best to be perfect. It is his attempt which is revered. Karuna Kakutstha. So he forgave. Whereas in Balarama Avataram, he had good things, but Apurna Avataram, he also had flaws. Bar at law. So after Balarama Avataram comes the greatest of avatars. Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dugdha Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsaha Sudhihi Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. Which Avatara had such mercy that could explain the essence of all the Upanishads in 700 shlokas called Bhagavad Gita. It was not warranted at that moment. See, Arjuna simply asked whether I should kill those people opposite or not. என்ன சார் முன்னாடி there is Bhishma, there is Drona, there is Kripa, there is Karna, there are my half brothers. அவர் உடம்பில் ஓடும் ரத்தமும் என் உடம்பில் ஓடும் ரத்தமும் ஒன்றல்லவா கண்ணா? அவரும் ஏ பாசிட்டிவ், நானும் ஏ பாசிட்டிவ். சண்டை போடலாமா? Krishna said, you knew the blood group even till yesterday. And அப்ப நட்ட நடு யுத்த காலத்துல வந்து will you give all these dialogues? See, if a doctor realizes he's a surgeon, he goes to the operation table and then says, ahimsa paramo dharma. He doesn't operate. Asthana sneha karunyam, says Yamunacharya, you should never come up with wrong emotions at the wrong places. He said, should I fight them or not, Krishna? What Krishna should have done? Either he should have said, no, I tell you fight, believe in me, fight. Or he should have shown his eyes that were akin to the smelted 1,000 suns of Narasimha Avatara. He would have been petrified and he would have fought. Rendithiyum uttuptar. Bhakti yogam, jnana yogam, karma yogam, 3 gunams. Then he will talk about devasura vibhagam, vishwarupadhyayam. Arjunaனுக்கு என்ன கேள்வி கேட்டானே மறந்து போயிடுச்சு. என்ன சார் நம்ம என்ன கேள்வி கேட்டா இவர் என்ன பதில் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கார், தனியா இவர் ஒரு உபன்யாசம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காரு. Then finally he couldn't take it. Krishna, enough, I will fight. Thank God he said it stopped at 700 shlokas. எடா போயிட்டே இருந்திருக்கும். So Krishna out of Parama Karuna gave us Bhagavad Gita. See, the beauty is Gita in Sanskritam. Geetam means song. How many of you have learnt or are learning or are planning to learn Shastriya Sangeetam? அவ்வளோதானா? அங்கே நான் பாட சொல்ல மாட்டேங்க, பய தைரியமாக கை தூக்கணும். எல்லாருக்கும் பாட சொல்லிவிட்டேன், நானே பாடுறேன்னு கவலைப்படாதீங்க. ஸோ ஹியர் see, we come across various stages in music. First we are introduced to the swaram. We take a sampurna ragam, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. Then we repeat to get the tongue twisting, sa sa ri sa sa ri sa ri sa sa ri re ga ga ma ma. Then we touch the upper octaves, mel sthayi tat. Then we go to alankaram to get the rhythm. Then we are introduced to music that is called Geetam. Lambodara Lakumikaro. Lakumikara vararilla adanga. Then the teacher will gauge our voice. Varavina mrudupani kamalajadala kereya neeranno. She'll do. Then the end of it she'll know. Porunda Raja. You take up some instrument da kanna. பாட்டு பாவம் தியாகராஜர். She'll advise. Like 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler longest, to Robert Frost says, right? So you are asked to take whichever path. So that is called Geetam. Geetam is song. So Krishna did not speak Bhagavad Gita. Mattaf parataram nanyat. He sang, it seems. Mattaf parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam proktam sutre manigana iva patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. He sang. But is that a common song? Is that a normal song? No, it is the song of Bhagavan. So it is Bhagavad Gita, the song of him. Krishna's every act in Krishna Avataram brings an element of surprise. Everything what Krishna does is beyond our realm of understanding and logic. Why? Rama Avataram is very practical. If Sita is lost, Sita, tedin pover. In Krishna Avataram, if there is rains, he will lift the mountain. If there is a snake, he will dance on it. Nasaridi, not டான்ஸ் எல்லாம் பண்ணுறாரு சார், தலை டான்ஸ் எல்லாம் பண்ணுதுப்பா, என்னம்மா டான்ஸ் பண்ணுறாரு பாரு. His dance was so great that it became an inspiration to the greatest of dancers, Shiva. Parvati told, எங்க அண்ணா ஆடுறது பாருங்க. Nataraja said, oh, what does he dance? See, Shivji, when you dance, you alone dance. The stage doesn't. Whereas in Krishna Avataram, when my brother dances on Kaliya, both the stage also dances. The dancer also dances. See, it is very tough to dance on a dancing stage. Adalai kana தில்லை அம்பல திரைவனும் தன் ஆடலை விட்டு இங்கே கோகுலம் வந்தான் ஒரு ஆடலினால் சிறு யாதவனே ஒரு மாமணி ரகணி மாதவனே நீ ஆடாது அசங்காது வா. How he dances? He dances. He's a dancer. He's a flautist. He's multifaceted Krishna. See, this avataram had to bring the various colors of an avataram, because other avatarams will have one aspect. You can see Rama, as per Rama Avataram in Ayodhya Kandam, there is one shabdam, Vaiharikaha. Rama was extremely good in dancing. There is a verse in Ayodhya Kandam. Though he may have learnt and was an expert in dancing, we have never got to see that aspect of Rama. He was very shy. Nahi. मैं नहीं dance करूँगा. Krishna was like us. See, I don't know, in the last 20 years, whether the marriage takes place full-fledged or not, Apastamba Maharishi has said, prior to marriage, Sangeet should happen. போதாயனர் எழுதி வச்சிருக்கார், கல்யாணம் நடக்கிறதோ இல்லையோ சங்கீத் நடந்துடணும். So in that Sangeet, both the girls and the boys' parents, they will want to explore their little art of dancing. Avarada, Mamavada, Avar Vayarada, Irandum Tani Taniyaga Ada, Irandum Kalandada. So we are all children of Krishna that way. Krishna too danced one day on Kaliya, the other way with the Stris in Rasa Krida. So Vedanta Deshika says, Ichhamina Vihara Kachapa Mahapotrin Yadricha Harehe Raksha Vamana Rosha Rama Karuna Kakutsta Hela Halin Krida Vallabha. Again, play. Krishna, everything is a play. See, he took all the problems that came to him at one stride. He didn't bother about it. He lived that moment. We say, right, live that moment. The 2 மணி நேரம் உபன்யாசம் கேட்கறல கேட்டுட்டு போயிடுங்க. நாளைக்கு வரணும் இல்லையா? Tomorrow's Bhishma Stuti. We are going to explore the bhakti of Bhishma. One Bhishma could bring in the devotion that he had for Krishna. Krida Vallabha. See, the beauty is in Krishna Avataram, every anecdote will have one Vedanta bhagam to it. There will be a philosophy to it. See, as per Shastram, I'm talking about what our Purvacharyas have given. It is best avoided to consume the processed food cooked by somebody whom we do not know. See, technically 100 years before, can you imagine that there were so many hotels? The only option was you have to cook by yourself. But today we are put into various circumstances where we can't cook by ourselves. Working people, intensely working people, we buy. It will be healthy food, trust me, it is healthy food, hygienic food. But Shastram says another element should be there in the food, which is emotion. This is what Shastram says. The dosa of Vidyarthi Bhavan is always better than my mother's dosa, trust me. But my mother's dosa has that Vatsalyam which says that my child should live long. Tvam Jiva Sharadash Shatam. Hridayad Angad Angad Sambhavasi Hridayad Adhijayase Atma Vai Putra Namasi Angad Angad Sambhavasi. The father and the mother, when they look at their daughter or son, they should say this mantra. Pata mattum porar. Angad Angad Sambhavasi. Every part of yours reminds me of myself. Hridayad Adhijayase. Look at your thoughts. They are like me. கடைசி நிமிஷத்துல ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ற என்ன மாதிரியே. Hridayad Adhijayase Atma Vai Putra Namasi. You are a byproduct of my Atma. This is the mantram that should be said. So here, Yashoda enjoyed that Vatsalyam with Krishna. But Krishna had this habit of never consuming the butter that was churned from his house. He will only go to the next house. Pakatha Pamana Mandradhan and Amma Pandadu Sumar. So he used to go break their pots. We have heard of all that Navanita Chauryam. But there's an element here. Now when Yashoda one day wanted to reprimand her son, she started chasing him. Krishna too ran. At one point in time, he met one person whose business was to sell curds. He was called Dadhi Bhanda. His name was Dadhi Bhanda. He used to carry a pot, Bhandam, filled with Dadhi. So he was called Dadibhanda. So Dadibhanda had done his fair share of selling the curds that day. So Krishna said, my mother is chasing Dadibhanda. Please protect me, Dadibhanda. So Dadibhanda said, don't worry, Krishna. He poked 2 holes in that pot. He said, Krishna, hide within this. I will invert this. So Krishna was within that Dadibhanda. There was little smell, that's okay. Now he was within that Bhandam. Yashoda came, Dadibhanda, did you see my son Krishna? Dadibhanda was holding the pot and he was hitting on it. No, Yashoda, I didn't see him. Krishna is looking through those holes. Yashoda went further. Then Krishna knocked at that pot and said, Dadibhanda, thank you, release me. Dadibhanda said, no, I will not release you. What did I do, Dadibhanda? You have to give me something, then only I'll release you. Okay, Dadibhanda, what do you want? Moksham. That state from which there is no return. Moksham is anavritti shabdat, nasapunaravartate. When you go, there is no return. Otherwise, we are all born. We cannot ask where we born before, sir. That is why we are there now. Punaha api jananam, punaha api maranam. The only beauty is we don't know whom we were born as. And we don't have an idea what we will be born as. But we may end up having to do the same thing again. Same thing. Same. Karupadu poche. Baba black sheep. Baba black sheep, Baba black sheep. We have to by heart that first. First they'll say, Baba black sheep chali kami mama ku. Adukke naragam kadaikum. Sonnathukke naragam. Then 2 people went up the hill and one came down. Adu yaradu? Adu urundu urundurthunnu. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Adu Thiruvaradhanadukku thanni edukanonu pochu. Adu kide urundurthu. Asade. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Innonu kutti shower le urundurthu. Yaradu? Humpty Dumpty. Ellarku theriyadhu parunga. We spent our childhood learning all of this. Had we at least alongside this concentrated little on our Vedas, we would have been better individuals. Somehow we felt learning that was, no, Baba black sheep kattanda evlo punyam theriyuma sir. Bhashyakarar eduthirkar avlo Baba black sheep therinja avlo osathiyana aada adu. கருப்பா இருந்துதான் கிருஷ்ணா ஜனிகாம் கிருஷ்ண தாபஹராம் அப்படின்னு கண்ணங்கரையில் இருக்கான் அந்த ஆடு. அது 3 பேருக்கு பங்கு கொடுத்துதான் அதோட உள்ள ஆச்சடு. So we learned that. Then we'll go to elementary school. Shoot system, root system. Then middle school. Then high school. Then while we are in 8th or 9th, while I was in 8th or 9th, somebody came and asked me, what are you planning to do? My grandmother said, engineer. Yaar, avalla, na pananuma. You will be flunking in maths, but 8 cousins of yours have become engineer. So you have to mahajano yenagatis sapanthaha. You have to walk the same path trod by your ancestors. Vyasam vasishtanaptaram shaktev pautram parasharatmajam nanum engineer poren. Then while you are in your 2nd year of engineering, you realize that you're not meant for it. 3rd, 4th you finish. Then you take up to MBA in finance. Inga padichadu thermodynamics. Sambandhame irukka kudad. MBA in finance. Then you realize 3 levels of CFA. Then after that the person realizes, no. PhD in colonial literature. Then upanyasam. So the point is, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare, bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam. Govindam bhaja mudhamate. So, same cycle. That state where you seek an exit from this vicious cycle of birth and death is moksha. And this man, doing a mundane job of selling curds in this unknown hamlet of Gokulam, knew that Krishna was the one who can grant moksha. So Krishna asked, Dadibhanda, how did you know that I give moksha? மோக்ஷ் அவர் நார்த் இல்லையா, மோக்ஷம்லாம் சொல்லப்படாது. அவர் வியாசம் என்ன, சாந்தாக்கார், புஜுக் ஷயன், பத்மநாப், சுரேஷ், விஸ்வாதார், ககன் சதிஷ், அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் தான். So how do you know? तुम्हें कैसे पता चला कि मैं मोक्ष देता हूँ? That is when he said, I listen to upanyasams. Dadibanda क्या परवा helpful. In Shastram it is said, when there is an avataram, in their fingerprint, you know, there is one technique in Tamil Nadu called Nadi Josiyam. They will always take your thumb print, impression. In that, for an avatara, there will be Shankha Chakra Lanchanam. When you observe, you know, they use in forensics, right? You take that fingerprint, zoom and see, you will see Shankham and Chakram. It is called Shankha Chakra Rekhankita. So this man, when he would have sold curds to Krishna, would have got that curd impression. There he must have heard in Upanyasam that the one with the Shankha Chakra Mudra is Avatara. So he must have said, Sujata Rekhatmaka Shankha Chakram Tamrodaram Tasya Kararavindam, says Vedanta Deshika. He said, Krishna, give me moksham, then only I'll release you. Krishna said, okay, I will give you moksham towards the end of the Janma. I will not release you, Krishna. Jadibanda, I promised you, no? You have to give moksham for my vessel as well. This bhandam has stayed with me all along. See, some people are very particular about their pillow. They will not sleep on any other pillow. போகும்போது இந்த கிம் ஜங் வந்து இந்த கமோட் எடுத்துன்னு போற மாதிரி they will sleep only on that pillow. So for Krishna, for Dadibhanda, this Dadibhandam has been throughout. He said you have to give moksham, but as per Shastram, only the Jivatma is entitled for moksham. You have to leave your body and go. When you have to leave your body and go, of what use is this ghatam? But again, you cannot apply logic to Paramatma. If he wishes, he will give moksham even to the Bhanda. He said, using my power in Article 34F and 54B, I hereby invoke my special powers of giving moksham even to this Dadi Bhandam. That is why our Acharyas state, whenever we go to moksham, ella nyavachum moksham போகும்போது வைகுண்டத்துக்குள்ள நுழைவேளை இல்லையா, உள்ள போனோம்னா லெஃப்ட் ஹேண்ட் சைடில் ஒரு ஷோகேஸில் you will have this pot. That day when you go, when you see it in Vaikuntham, remember this day. அன்னைக்கு சொன்னார், 2-3 பேரா சிட்னிலேருந்து போகிறேன்னு வச்சுங்கோ, அவர் சொன்னார் ஞாபகம் இருக்க, பானை இருக்கும்னு சொன்னார், அப்படின்னு ஞாபகம் வச்சுங்கோ இல்லையா, அந்த நாள் அசோக் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ. ஸோ கிரீடா வல்லப, even as an act of play, he gives moksham. Krida Vallabha, Kalka Vahana Dasha, in Sanskritam, Kalka Shabdam, Shvetashvarnam Babuva. White horse is called Kalka. So the one who stands on Kalki is called Kalka, is called Kalki. See, everything is very simple in Sanskritam. Dhava Shabdeti Pativachakaha. Dhava. Dhava. Dhava means husband. Dhava means husband. Ma has 2 meanings. No, don't. And the other meaning is Mahalakshmi. Ma Mahalakshmi. Dhava husband. Husband to Mahalakshmi. Ma Dhava. The one without a Dhava husband is Vidhava. The one whose wife is dead is Vidhura. Widower is Vidhura. Widow is Vidhava. Mahalakshmi's husband is Madhava. The beloved of Madhava, whose Bhumi Devi, is Madhavi. Madhavi, Madhava Priyam, Lakshmim, Priyasakhim, Devim. We say right Bhusuktam, so it is Madhavi. So, similarly, Kalka, white horse. Kalki, who walks on it, who comes on it. We don't have too many details about Kalki Avataram. You may say, nahi sir, Wikipedia, they say that in Uttar Pradesh near Sambal he is going to be born. We don't have clear details about it. See, so you mean to say in this 2024, he could come on a horse? Not essentially. Anything that flies like a horse. He can come even on Tesla. White color. So don't think when description is given, he has to come as is. So we have Dashavatharam. Ichhamina Vihara Kachapa Mahaputrin Yadricha Harehe Raksha Vamana Rosha Rama Karuna Kakutsta Hela Halin Krida Vallava Kalkavahana Dasha Kalkin Nitif Pratyaham. There are other avatars. Kapila Avataram, Rishabha Avataram, Buddha Avataram, Hayagriva Avataram. You have Pruthu who's an avatara. We have Hamsa Avataram, Dattatreya. These are all avatars. That is why I am telling you, innumerable. Adishesha is an avatar of the Lord. Garuda is an avatar of the Lord. Suparno Vayuvahanaha. He is there as an Antaratma for Kartikeya, Skandaha, Skandadharaha. He is the Antaratma for Shiva. Narasimha Vapushriman, Keshava Purushottama, Sharvaha, Sarvaha, Shivaha, Sthanuhu. He is the Antaratma for Vishwaksena, Vishwakseno Janardhanaha. So all are his forms. That is why Sahasranamam says, Sura, Nara, Khaga, Go, Bhogi, Gandharva, Daityehi. All this that encompasses the universe is his body. Chitrambram, Ramyatetam, Tribhuvana, Vapusham, Vishnumisham Namami. So each avatara has plethora of teachings, plethora of learnings for us. But Dashavataram just focuses on this. That said, we have Dashavatara Stotram by Vedanta Deshika that celebrates. There is a Dashavatara Stotram in Madhva Sampradaya. Madhva Sampradaya Sishyaru idara illi? Madhva Sampradayadallu ಒಂದು ದಶಾವತಾರ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಶ್ರೀ ವೈಷ್ಣವ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ we have ವೇದಾಂತ ದೇಶಿಕ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ರಚನೆ பண்ணியிருக்கார். ಆಳ್ವಾರ್ எடுத்திருக்கார். ಆಳ್ವಾರ್ talks about avatars. மீனோடு ஆமை கேழல் அரி குரலாய் முன்னுவிராமனாய் தானாய் பின்னுவிராமனாய் தாமோதரனாய் கற்கியுமானான். ஆழ்வார் talks about Dashavataram. Muthuswami Dikshitar, can anyone tell where he has sung Dashavatara? Mudinga sir, chumma namai kelvi ketti, waste of time. Anybody? If you are learning music, please learn this. It is a Dashavatara Ragamalika. Each avatara will have one ragam. Muthuswami Dikshitar has composed Madhavo Mampatu Matsya Avataro Vamana Danyam Najaneham Ramachandram Bhavayami. So for every avatara he has given one ragam. It is called Dashavatara Ragamalika. There is one Dashavatara Ragamalika by Swati Tirunal, the ruling monarch of Travancore, Thiruvananthapuram. So be it in Tamil language, be it in Sanskritam, be it through music, be it through poetry, be it in Telugu, be it in Kannada, be it in Awadhi, spoken in the Purvanchala Pradesham of Uttar Pradesh. We have abhangs that talk about Dashavataram. We have one Mangalam by Purandaradasa Amma, Kutake Mangalam, Matsya Avatara ke Kukshike Mangalam. So you have Dashavatara Mangalam. So Dashavatara is extremely famous and prominent. Whatever are the little questions that are associated with it, at the commencement, I did speak about it. As said, the commencement, Sydney Andal Group has done a mammoth task of arranging this lecture today and tomorrow on weekdays. No organizer will have the audacity to arrange. They will say nobody will come. And we didn't have big advertisement or hoardings at all. But Dharma, Sanatana Dharma is a binding force, because people ask me, are you traveling abroad for conversion? I said, yes. For whom? I said, to convert Hindus as Hindus. That is the first task. I don't have to go anywhere. In our own tradition, we should know the depth of our scriptures. How much our acharyas, without any copyright, selflessly have toiled for us. Nothing they had. When we sing Tyagaraja Kritis, do we give 1 rupee to Tyagaraja? We become rich. And later we will also abuse him by putting lungi. That is a different thing. But they were such selfless people. Not 1 rupee goes to them. They wanted to only propagate bhakti. Alvars, Acharya, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Deshika, Mamunigal. What a rich past we had. Yes, there are certain corrections to be done. Yes, there are certain things that need to be corrected. So reforms need to be done. No problem, we'll do it. But not by breaking idols and abusing deities. We have our own elegant way of doing things. And this is what our acharyas have done. We come from such a open-minded, inclusive dharma which says you don't have to become me, a Hindu, to reach God. Wherever you are, God will bless you. Who can get more liberal than this? Even the Vokeshwara, Vokanayaka, Vokapriya should understand this. That said, Sydney Andal Group has made it free for all. It is my personal request to give your liberal and generous contributions for their dharmic activities. There are volunteers outside. Now, I'll just take up 10 minutes. You have waited this long. 2 questions. Vasumati ji will come very fast and she'll ask a question also equally fast. And I will also answer at the same speed. And then I'll say Shubharatri. Just 2 questions. So if you have questions, you can always keep them on sheets. They will select, because I cannot answer all the questions. One, I may not know the answers and we may not have the time. I'll take up 2 questions. If I know, I will answer. First question.
When you are traveling, how do you manage your bhakti? Example, early morning rituals.
Okay. So, technically I give about 250 lectures a year, roughly 250. So, invariably 1 lecture a day. In certain days, 2 lectures. So, of those 250, at least 60 to 70 will be outside India, like US, Australia, New Zealand, Kenya, some parts of Europe, Indonesia. The remaining 170 to 180 are within India. Some in metro cities like Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Calcutta, and many in tier 2 towns like Pollachi, Udumalpet, Arani, Katpadi, Tirunelveli, then Manjakudi, and so on. So I will have time variations when I go. So I may end up reaching only at 8 and so on. So for me, I take this liberty of doing Sandhya Vandanam after taking bath when I reach that destination, since I am bound to do Sandhya Vandanam. And of course, I don't have technically food outside houses. Anybody can cook, but outside houses I don't have. I don't have onion, garlic, radish, turnip, ridge gourd, bitter gourd, mushroom, drumstick. Then with all these restrictions, whatever food is remaining, I have to eat. But very good food is made. So, and you can see my size, so nothing is lost. So, I eat. So, the Anushtanam may take a small hit. I cannot do exactly at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. Whenever I reach, I have to do. It is called Kalatitam. Our Shastras are very benevolent. If you can't do within that time, you have to extend your time and do, and there is a Prayaschittam for that. Our Rishis were very understanding of our problems. Next question.
We don't know past Janma, we don't know next Janma, then why do we need to follow Niyati?
So, I'll answer this. It's a very interesting question. How do we decipher Purva Janma? See, how do we know we had a Purva Janma? There are 2 ways of looking at it. We had one set of Nastikas in those days called as Lokayatas. That was called Lokayatamatam. And they were adept at convincing the other person in a very soft way that there is no God. So they were called Charuvakas. Charuvak, very soft spoken. They deciphered their theory from Brihaspati Sutram. So to be a Nastika also, you had to be educated in those days. It was called Brihaspati Sutram. So Vedanta Deshika, one of the philosophers, questions back, because that person asked in those days, how do I believe that there is a Purva Janma? To which Vedanta Deshika says, I'll give you one mundane example. Everything or anything that we do comes upon teaching or training. See, if you're sitting like this, in your childhood, you must have seen your mother or father sit on a chair. So when you see them sit, you also understand, even I have to sit like this. When you see your mother seated like this, you know there is a posture like this. So everything is observed or taught. Nothing comes just like that. You were not born saying Aditya Hridayam Punyam, were we born that way? No, somebody teaches. So most of our acts either come through observation or learning, teaching. Vedanta Deshika says, when a child is born, it starts consuming milk from the mother. Who taught the child? Did anybody teach the child, you have to suckle like this, you have to drink like this? No. To which the answer as per Nyaya Shastram is, the child is so much used to consuming milk in previous hundreds of janmas that it doesn't need training at all. One. Second thing, we say, if the children ask us, Kanna, do good things will happen to you. Contrary is if you do bad things will happen. But there can be a devil's advocate who asks, Amma, did you see that uncle? He does only good. Why is he suffering? He does bad. Why is he living happily? We ask this in Tamil Nadu also. We have this question, right? Let's go one step backwards. If a person at the age of 45 goes for a medical checkup and arrives at an HbA1c, I'm giving you the Indian reading, I don't know here, 8.5. Then the doctor says, you have to do something about it, sir. It seems very high. Then the wife will say, yeah, varadu, sweet is He always keeps eating sweets. He doesn't exercise. So, your present bad lifestyle is attributed to the bad HbA1c. Correct. A newborn child has diabetes. How? Then what will you say? He had sweets. No, he's just born. Then what will you attribute the child's ill health to? So Shastram says, if you believe that there is only one life, because we get all these dialogues in our movie, ek hi life hai yaar, enjoy karna. So Ranbir tells Rashmika in that movie, ek hi life hai, enjoy kar. So I have to first call him for the lecture. If it is ek hi life, enjoy, then the child also has ek hi life. Then why is the child born with a deformity and has to suffer? That is when you say there must be a carryover of karma. See, 11 plus 12, in the units place 1 plus 2 is 3. Simple addition. 11 plus 19 or 12 plus 19, you add the units place, 2 plus 9 is 11. You keep 1 and carry over 1. That karma, that residual karma is what is attributed to our sufferings, and that in the backward logical process tells that there must have been a previous birth. 2. Number 3. I have to finish. I cannot leave a question incomplete. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the eldest son of Rishabhanatha. Today, at 6:49, I told about Dilwara temples in Mount Abu. You remember? In Dilwara temples in Mount Abu. Mount Abu was previously called? I told this. Next, tomorrow you have to bring a book and a pen. Bhruguttunga, where Bhargavas lived, I said. I said you have to zoom and see, you will see Srivatsam. That Rishabhanatha of Ikshvaku Kulam had the eldest son called Bharata. Bharata went to the forest. There he was meditating. He saw a pregnant doe jumping boulder to boulder and its belly hitting the boulder, and the little one slid and fell. He protected the little deer and nourished and nurtured the little one as his very own. That little one went into the forest along with his friends. Now this man was always thinking of the deer, and when he thought of the deer and the Jivatma departed, he became the deer. Because as per Tatkratu Nyayam, whatever you think of in Bhakti Yoga, in your last minute you become that. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So he became the deer. He was born as a deer in the Kalanjara Parvatam of Uttar Pradesh. But here comes the point. 1 in a lakh will remember their previous janma. They are called by a technical name. They are called Jati Smaraha. Remember this word. I'll ask you tomorrow. Question paper leak. Tomorrow I'll ask Jati Smaraha. I don't know how many of you have read this book by Dr. Brian Weiss. How many? Have you read? It's called Many World, Many Lives, Many Masters. Beautiful book. Many Lives, Many Masters. He has written 2 other books. So it's a beautiful book. You should read this. Because when our acharyas say this person is a psychiatrist from the Western world, 60-70 years before. He had a patient where they did hypnosis and she spoke different languages and different details. When he went country after country, he knew these were her previous births. Jati Smaraha, 1 in lakh can remember. The great sage of Kanchi, Paramacharya, he was very adept. When someone used to come, he used to tell them what their previous janma was. Very few Siddha Purushas can do that. So, birth milk drinking, deformities, all these examples confirm previous janma and next janma. So when there is previous janma, there has to be next janma. See, if it is cyclic, it cannot end, then it becomes linear. It has to go by the 2 pi r, there should be a circumference. So in circumference, when you agree to a previous janma, there has to be a next janma. So if you have to get out of the cycle, because cycle means it never ends. So the only one who does the ardhanam of Jani is called Janardana. He cuts that cycle. He says you don't have to loiter anymore in the same cycle. So the question was, when we do not know where there is previous birth, when we do not know there is a next birth, how can we believe? But please understand, do not know is not the right answer. See, for example, I asked someone, what was your breakfast 3 days back? I don't know. Does it mean when they say I don't know, they didn't have? No, they had, they don't know. Just because we don't remember our previous births or there is no CCTV footage of that, it doesn't mean there was no birth. தானே பார்க்காததை நான் நம்ப மாட்டேன்னா இதையுமே நம்ப முடியாது. எங்கள் அப்பா மாதிரி நான் இருக்கேன்னு யாரோ சொன்னான், அவ்வளோதான் எங்கள் அப்பான்னு நம்புகிறேன் நான். We don't go do DNA test, right? Right. So, பூர்வ ஜன்மா and next ஜன்மா போய பிழையும் புகுதருவா நின்றனவும் is the belief of dharma. That is why we take steps to get rid of it. அதானே கேள்வி கேட்டா இல்லாட்டா வேறு ஏதாவது கேட்டாலா? என்ன சொன்னா சொல்லுங்க கடைசியில்? இல்லை வேறு ஏதோ பார்ட் முட்டாவா? Why do we need to follow niyati? See, niyati are the rules. So Krishna says, Yat Shastra Vidhimutsrijyam Vartade Kamakarataha. Arjuna, to make your life more civilized, seasoned, cultured, I have laid down certain rules. Follow this as much as possible. See, in Sanatana Dharma, there is nothing like, okay, if you don't do this, you will die. No. Try. It's your karma. See, at the end of the day, doing or not doing is also our karma. And when we do this, when we have a slightly disciplined life, it will give us jnanam in the upayam, the way to get out of this birth. As your life gets more disciplined, as your life gets more seasoned, cultured, you will want to get out of this. And there are various ways through which Paramatma will always bring that jnanam to you. Through that jnanam, you can get rid of this previous and past births. We won't have to stay here at all. I agree, Sydney is very beautiful, but still, so that will help. So these are the two questions. That's all, Vasmati ji. Kurma. So tomorrow we begin at 6:30. I'm sure many of you will be coming after work, from work. There are elderly people here, youngsters, many youngsters here. I'm thankful to people across ages and across languages. See, though my mother tongue is Tamil, though I grew up in Bangalore, I'm still living in Bangalore, the organizers said we will have it in English so that we bring all communities together. So whether we like it or not, this is this Mlecha Bhasha that is linking all of us. Yeah? So it is English which is linking all of us, because as per Dharma, we have nothing against any language. We may be against certain tenets, but not against a language. Vedanta Deshika says, Bhasha Geeti Prashasta Bhagavati Vachanat Rajavachopacharat. Language be any. The content is what that matters. So English is linking all of us, be it Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi, Hindi, Marwari, Gujarati, Sindhi, Bengali speaking. Yet we are sticking together because of Dharma. Tomorrow, Bhishma Stuti begins at 6:30 and will get over at 8:30. Contributions are welcome to Sydney Andal Group. Namaskaram. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Datre Karuna Sudhabdhe Kamvadi Divya Yudha Satkaraya Vatalaya-dhisha namo namaste Narayana Narayana Nara Narayana 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 Janaki Kanta Smaranam. You are all 400 plus people here. How should the energy be? जानकीकान्तस्मरणं गोपिकाजीवनस्मरणं. नमस्कारम.